The South,
Edinburgh,
Glasgow,
North and Mids,
Scottish exiles.
His spirit is unbroken, his passion or his pride. It will be our victory when he is by our side. Tomorrow is a bonus point, the future is a try. We'll win this game, we'll fight this pain, he's the reason why.
Hello everyone from beautiful New Zealand, Happy New Year. Big Jim Hamilton and Johnny Beattie got in touch with me to ask me if I'd support the Dotty Wear Challenge for this January. I didn't even have to think twice about it because the work the great man is doing is making a huge difference to so many people around the world. So I even took it that seriously that I joined the Scottish Exiles to get as fit as I can during January to hopefully raise as much money as we can for Dotty 8. So please sign up, get involved, and I'm sure Dotty and all the Dotty 8 team will do everything they can to make a difference. So cheers Dotty, take care, and as we say in New Zealand, kia kaha.
Hi everybody, just want to say the best of luck and wish you every success as you cycle your world in a day in support of Doddy Aid, supporting the great man Mr Doddy Weir in the campaign to raise awareness and funding for MND. Now, if you're looking for some musical accompaniment, perhaps some musical motivation, then why not get on Doddy Weir's very own playlist, which he recorded with me a couple of years ago. You'll hear music from the likes of Amy MacDonald, Stereophonics, and also Meatloaf, but best of all, Dignity by Deacon Blue. So, get on the bike, get the tunes on, and let's do this for Doddy Weir. Best of luck, everybody.
Good luck to everybody taking part this Saturday in World in a Day for Doddy Aid, and I gather you are on track to raise £1 million for charity. Many congratulations.
The South,
Edinburgh,
Glasgow,
North and Mids,
Scottish exiles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky, and it's almost back to that perspective thing, is that at least I have some understanding of what particular branches or jobs in the military entail. So, you know, I feel I'm in a good place to be able to advise my kids if they came to me. Now, I would absolutely encourage in fact, I would say I would encourage, and I certainly wouldn't, discourage my kids from a career in the military, whether it be a short one, a 4-year stint, or a full career, because purely just looking at the statistics of it, you are better off having served in the military. That's, we can just look at the facts and figures and go, a career in service, leads to higher levels of employment. It leads to higher levels within the command structure of a business, whatever it might be. Yes, we all know the stories of the horrible minority, and I can count myself within it, in fairness, because of the injuries I sustained. The things that can happen as a result of military service, homelessness, post-traumatic stress disorder, and as I say, physical injury. But actually, they're in the minority. The majority of those that serve in the military come out of it a better citizen, a better individual. So I wouldn't discourage my kids in that sense. But more importantly, as I said at the beginning, at least I know that if my kids were to walk into a careers office, they're not just going to get done straight away by the guy behind the counter who says, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to do that job? And then they get convinced to do something else because that's the flavor of the month that day. So I would ask my kids what they want from it, and then I would steer them. If they want to travel the world, then there are particular branches of military service that will facilitate that. If they want to, learn a skill, get a trade, then there are other jobs that would facilitate that better. If they want to experience the hardships of combat and frontline soldiering, then I would tell them honestly the risks of it. But ultimately, I would encourage them to join something like the Marines, because that environment is where that they will be best looked after. And they may find themselves in a very difficult situation, but at least they have the training and, more importantly, the people around them that will get them through that.
Yeah, well said. You guide your kids as best you can, and you've got the experience to give them that knowledge.
Yeah.
If I can give a shout out to anyone who has joined us, the Facebook feed, Twitter, social media platforms are all back and operating. So this is JJ Chalmers that we have with us, an inspiring story. He has been through a lot. But JJ, I want to now just take us on to your TV career, presenting. Yeah. Is that a skill you had to develop? Is it something you fell into easily?
It's something which I had innately in me because I was a class clown growing up, basically. Actually, in fairness, a part of it comes from the fact that I was very dyslexic as a child. I mean, I'm dyslexic to this day. Obviously, it's not something that it's something you live with, rather than sort of get rid of. But what it meant is that I was never able to express myself on pen and paper. So I always struggled in school to keep up. I always struggled to express my story, essentially. But that one day of the year when it was sort of presentation day, where you got to stand up in front of the class and talk about whatever it might be, that was the one day of the year where I was best in class, because everybody was terrified to stand up and say something. And there was me going, I've got all this stuff to say, and finally an opportunity, because you're not making me write it down. You're allowing me to say it. So I had that skill within me. And as I say, I was a bit of a class clown. And the Marines is an environment where we're always telling stories and we're always sort of throwing things around. And then, yes, I mean, I stumbled into it, for want of a better word, because there I was at the Invictus Games. My career in the military was over. I had discovered the beauty of sport again and the world of sort of major sporting competitions. Now, the Rio Paralympics were not far away, and a lot of my friends were talking about going there as competitors. But I felt like I'd achieved what I wanted to do in sport. I'd won my medals at the Invictus Games. I'd set myself a target and kind of achieved it. But actually, the thing which I had enjoyed most about being part of Invictus was telling the story. Now, I'd been part of the documentary and the live coverage, etc. And I was in the studio having won my medals with Jonathan Edwards, who, was an absolute hero of mine, not just in fairness as a sports person, but as a presenter. He's a fantastic presenter. And I remember looking at him doing his job and looking at the technical aspects of it and thinking, wow, that looks hard. But looking at the smile on his face and going, well, it's clearly amazing fun to do. And that's what I like in life, something that's difficult, but is a joy and something that you want to do. And so I turned to him and said, the next time we do an interview, I want to be sat in your chair. How do I do that? And then he was kind enough to introduce me to the right people. And people, thankfully sort of took me seriously and created opportunities or at least, opened the door or hung an opportunity in front of me that was just out of reach, and I did everything I could to sort of reach out and grab it. And so, yes, I had to refine skills along the way and become a presenter, but I had that innate ability to string words together, essentially, that made it somewhat easier. But just like anything that's worth doing in life, it ain't easy. So you've got to learn the craft and the trade of it. And I'm still doing that, of course, but I've got a lot of live hours under my belt now, and it's just always about looking for the next opportunity, and I'm very, very lucky to have it.
Are there events out there that you'd love to attend and love to present at? Is there things on a sort of bucket list or hit list that you're saying, how do I navigate my way to that event? How do I get there?
Yeah, I mean, the big one, which in fairness should have happened by now, was the Olympics. Now, obviously, I worked at the Paralympics in 2016, and going there, witnessing the Rio Paralympics in particular, which I absolutely love. I'm a true believer that there's parity between the Olympics and the Paralympics. And so, therefore, in my mind, I want to be able to work on both in a given year, essentially, because I want to present the Tokyo Games, and those games are both Olympics and Paralympics. So, my bucket list was to go and present the Paralympics in Tokyo, the Olympics in Tokyo as well as the Paralympics. And, it should have happened last year. Hopefully it will happen this year. Fingers are crossed. And, we really do hope, not just for my own sake as a presenter, but for the sake of, the joy that comes from the Olympics that we could all do with right now, hopefully going ahead. So in a sporting sense, that's one of them. But the other thing, the other sort of live thing that I do is presenting sort of big live events, things like the Queen's Birthday Parade and the Lord Mayor's Show, and the commemorations of D-Day for the 75th anniversary, for example. So it's all these kind of big moments that are important and carry some sort of level of gravitas, which is close to my heart, that I really want the opportunity to be part of. So yeah, that's just a bit of this and that. Is true. I'm a Renaissance man. I like to be able to try and lend myself to as many things as possible. Dancing certainly wasn't one that I expected to do, but I loved it nonetheless.
Would you go into the jungle if you were invited? Would you do that?
Well, I don't know. The thing is, I've been to the jungle, the proper jungle, when I was in the Marines, and that's the thing. I know that if I did that, I'd have to go there and not complain.
Were you eating all sorts of disgusting things?
The problem is, if you put a bunch of bored Marines in a jungle, you'll find things to eat. Let's put it that way. That's the problem. If I did it, I'd have to do it and not sort of flinch, because I wouldn't be able to let on that it was, that I'm not enjoying it. And in fairness, I'd love to go to the jungle. It's an environment that I absolutely love being in. I certainly wouldn't do it when it's in a Welsh castle. I'd feel like I'd lost out if I did that.
Okay. Now, guys, we are with JJ Chalmers here. If there are any questions that you want to put to JJ, please do hit the reactions button. You can put something in the drop down. JJ, so much positive feedback. The conversation's been great. Your story is inspiring. What you've overcome, what you're still doing. Anything else on Doddy Aid and Doddy himself? Are you a rugby fan yourself?
Yeah.
I was just going to say there's some fantastic comments coming in on the chat from people who set out to maybe do 100k or 50 miles, but the camaraderie of the virtual peloton has kept them going, and they're pushing on through. So there's somebody there set out to do a 4-hour stint and they're still on their bike. And if you were just doing this on your Todd, it'd be so much harder to stay motivated. But there's a lot of strength in the storytelling, and you're doing a cracking job nationally. And for those people who are putting comments on, say that they've done their stint, they're going to come back later for more, or they've done their planned mileage, but they're going to crack on through. You're into uncharted territory here. So many of you going further than you've ever cycled before, and well done. Some great comments. And for every comment we're seeing, I'm sure there's loads of you who aren't saying anything and are just, making these miles happen without telling us. So, huge well done. We're nearly 7 hours into the event. Everyone's going to be going into the Hurt Locker, and I applaud all of you.
Well said, Mark. And as we do approach the Hurt Locker, as Mark calls it, there is lots to come. 2:30, Jason Fox. 4 p.m, Luke and Tom Stoltman. 5 p.m, Jenny Faulkner. 4:45, Gavin Hastings. Andrew Cotter will be joining us at 6:30. But I will keep looking through the grids, and if there's names I notice, I will call people out. Here's one here. Here's Rory Lawson. We've got Rory Lawson there. Rory, if you get off mute if you can. We have Captain of the South, former Scotland captain.
Hi, Nashi.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Oh, very well. Thank you. Very well.
Good to see you. Good to see you. We've got JJ here as well. Are you listening into that?
I have. What a guy. What a guy. I think he was probably my mum's favourite on Strictly as well. So that's big credit to the big man.
Fantastic. Rory, how are you? Team South, going well. What you've been doing, putting out on social media has been inspiring. You've just put up the good fight and kept going. I know you're heavily involved with Doddy and everything he does, and know Doddy well. Any stories, anything that's been happening through the month?
Look, I think Rob, for anybody who's been on through for the duration, Rob spoke about it earlier on. Doddy, he's a competitive bugger, and Rob rang me up some stage in December and just said, "Look, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about doing Doddy Gump in January through to February the 6th. We're looking at doing the old Scottish district model, and Doddy has nominated you as team captain for the South with your papa's links to the South and to Hoyk. I am essentially half Hoyk, and nobody can challenge that. So, you know, when the call to arms comes from the big man himself, it's a no-brainer. But what a lot of people have spoken about today already has been the whole purpose piece. I think a lot of folk, you know, look at January as an opportunity to get a bit fitter or get over the gluttony of Christmas and December. And, you know, Christmas and December was very different for everybody this year. But for me, this has given a bit of purpose. And I had a chat to a pal just yesterday, actually, you know, asked how he's getting on through lockdown and so on and so forth. And he was just like, you know what, pretty positive bloke, but he said, the one good thing about lockdown is that you don't have to make many decisions. Decision making is exhausting at times, and life's pretty simple. So if we make the most out of it, and as Big Jim alluded to earlier on with his chat with Johnny Wilkinson, we can all set a target of being that little bit better, and at the end of January or the start of February or whatever. But the whole Doddy Gump piece has been a brilliant way of focusing the mind and building a purpose. And I have to say, it's been a massive privilege to be a part of it and just see how, at a time whereby the leadership within the UK has been awful, and how they've, you know, there have been these challenges and different views and inability to unite a nation in a challenging time, that we've managed to, or Doddy and Rob and everybody who has put so much work into this has managed to unite a group of, you know, thousands of people towards a cause that's been brilliant. So it's been a privilege for Doddy himself. You know, he's been on the phone as a Souther, not happy about the position we find ourselves in, chasing down North and Midlands like everybody else. But you know, we're doing our best. We've got some great folk involved, and all pulling in the same direction ultimately towards that £1 million and beyond.
Good on you, Rory. Well said. Well said. JJ, I'm going to bring you back in. We've got a question here from Baz Firth. He says, I'm due to leave, I think it'll be the Royal Navy, after 32 years. Do you miss the camaraderie, or do you stay in touch with the oppos and the banter?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you'll miss more than anything. And obviously I was somewhat ripped out of that in the, you know, certainly at the point of injury. You know, what I missed more than anything about, you know, Afghanistan was the worry about my friends that continued serving out there and not being able to be able to sort of keep them safe for sort of, you know, when I think about it. But I was lucky to sort of slowly transition out of the military and kind of have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because my recovery was so long. And because of things like the Invictus Games, you know, I still have a community that's sort of military facing in some respects. And then, yeah, I mean, just because you take your uniform off, as I said earlier, doesn't mean that I don't look out for my mates around me. And so, you know, we've all probably got WhatsApp groups that are getting us through lockdown. The best ones I have are the guys that I served in the military with, you know, because we're just sort of jibing at each other and, sending each other bits of morale. So it's something that, of course, I miss sort of having it day by day. As I say, going to work with the guys that, doing a job I love with the blokes that I love. I miss that, but at the same time, it'll never leave me. It's a part of who I am forever. And so, yeah, leaving is difficult because of that. But I think it's also difficult because, and we're just talking about it there. It's perfect, and it's what's so great about this event is it's that meaning and purpose piece. Your meaning and purpose in the military was so clear. You always had a mission. You always had something that you're part of something bigger. It defined who we were. Meaning and purpose. So when you leave the military and we don't all get that in our employment, for example. I'm lucky. The job I do, I love. And I think it's a powerful one with great opportunity. But actually, it's something like this, being part of this community, being part of something bigger than yourself is really, really important. And so that's what I always urge blokes that are about to leave the military or whatever it might be. Retiring sportsmen are the same. Anyone that's retiring from a career that's a bit more than a job, essentially, to make sure that you find that thing. And it might not be the thing that pays your bills and keeps the lights on, but find that thing, whether it's your hobby or, your passion, or an event like this, to challenge yourself and as I say, to find a purpose bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Baz, I hope that helps with your question. A couple of shout-outs. I've got Mike Carr. He's over cycling in India. Do let us know, guys, where you are around the world. If you are far afield and you're on this stream, let us know. Share it across social media. Everyone that's on, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you might be, if you're cycling, if you're putting some miles in, do share it. Tag Doddy Gump. Let's try and get this promoted as far and wide as we can to help with donations and hit that £1 million target. JJ, you have been on much longer than I said in my would you mind coming on email.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The inspirational comments are coming in. It's fantastic talking to you. I really appreciate the limitless.
Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, I must dip off now because my son will be waking up from his nap. So I'm going to get back in the house. But all I'll say is, as I was mentioning there, is that it's a pleasure to be part of this. You're asking about my really, rugby. Yes, that's my sport. It's the one I love and follow probably more than anything. But I'm just a sports fan across the board. But let's be honest, the reason is not just because it's a great game, but it's such an amazing community. I find myself very lucky, as I say, to be an Edinburgh boy. I just think it's a great city, and what a privilege it was to be born in it. But let's be honest, the best time of year in Edinburgh is the Six Nations. Now, it's not going to be the same this year. Of course it's not. And I long for the day that comes back in its full glory, traveling fans, that wonderful community. It's just amazing. And obviously this event has got so much bigger than the rugby community, but it is at the very heart of it. And so, yeah, I mean, what an amazing community this has been. What an amazing event. It's just, it's just gathering and gathering and gathering. My friend Woody, he's just decided this morning that he would go out and run a marathon for it. So there's that idea that it's still not too late to just contribute a few miles, a few quid. And that's the thing. It's just that when you get a lot of people together, not only have, as Mark was saying, have we got this amazing... The reason I've not left yet is because, one, I like the sound of my voice, but two, I'm enjoying just having my legs spin like this because I know others are doing it. And that is a really, really powerful thing. Most of my miles so far have come from just going out for walks with the kids. But listen, I've taken my kids for the same walk for 9 months now. But this was a whole new reason. It becomes new and exciting because we're doing it for, as I say, something that's bigger than us. And, just to finally say, about the big man himself. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. I obviously loved him as a player growing up. He's someone that you look to because he was such a character. You always knew where he was in the field. He's a remarkable, remarkable man who has been dealt a horrible, horrible set of cards. But again, he has chosen to do something with those cards. And he's, he right now, the impact and legacy that he's making, he's winning, because this will outlive him, and that's tragic and that's sad because, it's such a brutal and relentless condition and disease that, we can see him slipping away. But he's getting stronger by the day, let's be honest, because this is getting stronger by the day. And this will make a real change in the world. And, that is a remarkable, remarkable thing. So, it's been a pleasure to be part of it. Thank you very much for letting me, bore you all for the last hour or whatever it's been.
No,
and good luck to you.
Not at all. Thank you, JJ, for your time. It's been great to have you on. Take care.
Cheers.
Fantastic, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was JJ Chalmers there. An inspirational story. He's been working away for Doddy Aid, Team Edinburgh. Rory Lawson jumped on there. We'll keep Rory in the chat, and I believe soon Jill Douglas will be joining us. She is the CEO of the My Name is Doddy Foundation.
It's interesting to see some of the comments here. So we've got Nicole, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's hard to know your names on the chat function. Just walked some miles, and I know that's a big challenge, and you're coming back to do some more later on, and obviously the conversations are a big part of that motivation. There's no way you would do that without the community, so well done there. Joe Malone saying off to do Ironman UK in July, fingers crossed, in aid of Doddy Foundation. And whilst Doddy Aid was putting a massive focus on this on January through to the Calcutta Cup, it'd be interesting to know how we can all take that baton and run with it for the rest of the year with other initiatives. It'll be cool to talk to Jill Douglas about that in a minute, Nashi, and see what her thoughts in terms of where the foundation's going this year.
Absolutely. We'll hopefully get a bit of the history of the foundation and where it's going. But a shout out, we all maybe remember that certainly the people that have been on all day. Noah Wilson, if I get this right, he was 13. He set out to do 100k. He did 220. And that was a young lad with hopes of a future in maybe cricket, rugby, but he loves his cycling. He had a good chat with Mark and everyone earlier on. So well done, Noah, if you're still listening. An incredible effort. I'll see Jill has just messaged saying she'll be on around 1, so I'm sure she'll be on soon. And we'll maybe have, I believe, Kelly Brown is dropping in and some of the captains. I can already see our 2:30 guest, Jason Fox, is on putting the miles in. Big wave from Jason. I won't get you on the chat just yet, Jason. Thank you for joining us so early and putting the miles in, but we'll catch up with you a little bit later. And I'm just having a look through a few names. I know Johnny Elliott, pal of mine. He's been on for a long, long time. Well done, Johnny. Keep going, guys. Who else have we got? I'm sure we'll see Rob Wainwright returning soon as he's out in the fields tending to his animals. Shooting through. Lots going on, guys. Lots going on all day.
Now that we've 7 hours in, it'd be good to get some comments from people. I mean, it's obvious to say that a lot of people are now going beyond the furthest they've ever cycled, and it'd be quite natural that it's a bit of a psychological roller coaster. Maybe we'll bring in Davey first. How are you feeling, Davey? Davey, give us a shout. I'm just asking, are you now into unknown territory, or are you getting close?
Not quite. I've never wanted to. I am in unknown territory because I've never cycled this far inside before. Usually the fresh air in the hills and keeping balance on the roads keeps you a little bit more occupied. But we're lucky to have such an amazing inspirational lineup of guests so far to keep the motivation going. In terms of mileage, I'm about 110 miles in now. So approaching unknown territory. As soon as I hit 130, 135, that's very much entering into the unknown realms of my fitness. So
good on you. Well, we'll check back and see how you're getting on. Have we got, before you actually leave the room, so to speak, Joe Boyce just said at the 203 kilometers done, age 58, no excuses, furthest I've ever cycled. Thanks for all the chat. Joe, are you still here? Are you still in the room? Because it'd be great to hear how it was for you. Right, who else is
Mark,
pushing into the unknown now? It'd be great to hear how people are feeling 7 hours in.
Mark, I'm just going to jump in here. We do have Jill Douglas is here. I think her microphone is unmuted. Jill, are you there?
I am. I don't know if you can see me though, but I am here.
Not yet. The video's not on, but great. Thank you for joining us.
I'm going to see. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. okay. You might be able to see me.
There we go. We've got you. How are you?
I'm all right, actually, yes. Now that I had a bit of a technical hitch because I was trying to lower the seat on the walk bike earlier. Couldn't get it lowered, and then phoned my husband in Russia and said, how do I get the seat down on the walk bike? No answer. Complete lack of interest. So I did what any sensible woman would do at a time like that. I got a hammer out of the drawer and gave it a right good bash and managed to get the seat down. Otherwise, Carl's 6'5" and I am not 6'5". So I am on his walk bike and yeah, I'm doing all right. It's not my comfort zone at all.
No, well, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And we do have Rory Lawson's on. I think Kelly Brown's going to join us. We've got a few people. Davies on, Edinburgh captain. Big Jim's been on. Maybe Barclay hopefully will drop in at some point. But Joe, as CEO of the My Name is Doddy Foundation, could you just give us a bit of an update on where the foundation is presently, sort of plans for the future, plans for 2021?
Absolutely. So, well, first of all, wow, what an amazing kickoff to 2021. Thank you so much for absolutely everybody who has got involved in Doddy Aid and today's amazing round the world. We kind of stumbled through 2020 with the COVID, and we had some great support events going on, but of course it's really hard when people can't get together and do all the lovely things that we like doing in support of the foundation. So Doddy Aid came along, and it's just given us the most amazing kick start to 2021. We're 3 and a bit years old now, the foundation. We've invested just shy of £6 million into MND research, and we've been really careful about the research projects we've worked with. We obviously take our responsibility really seriously. You raise all these amazing funds for us. We must make sure that we're doing everything right and hopefully putting the money where it can be most effective. We also give money to patients and people living with MND through a great relationship with MND Scotland, the MND Association. We've just given them £300,000 last week, actually, to help people with MND live their lives. So we have got big plans. We've got a big new strategy document we're going to share with you all in February. So once you've all finished Doddy Aid, have a bit of a break, and then let's share with you how we're going to spend the funds, how we're going to invest those funds, and really push towards our vision of a world without MND. And it sounds like such a huge, bold statement, but I've never sensed so much optimism and momentum within the world of MND research than we've got at the moment. So it's an exciting time.
And can you give us a bit of an update on recently, within the sort of last month, a bit of a breakthrough or some good news coming out of Edinburgh University?
Yes, we were part funders of that work, an amazing research project there. I sometimes worry that headlines can be slightly misinterpreted, and while it was hugely encouraging, it is a small step in the right direction. So it does give us better knowledge and understanding of one specific type of motor neuron disease, people who have what's called familial or inherited MND, which is the vast majority of people have what's called sporadic MND. That means there's nobody in their family has had MND, but a small number have got a family connection to it. And that's what this research project was looking at. So it's a step in the right direction. Anything that gives us better understanding, better knowledge of this most devastating of diseases is a step in the right direction. So we were very pleased to be part of that. And there's lots of other projects hopefully coming to fruition. We've got the MND Smart platform trial. There's another big European-wide platform trial in the pipeline. So all of it just gives, I think what Doddy always says, just give people a wee bit of hope, make them think as though we are moving in the right direction. And I think we definitely are doing that.
And how is the great man? Have you spoken to him recently? Is he doing anything for now?
Yeah, he's good. I spoke to him yesterday, actually. He's in good form, wishing us all the best. He's just, I think he's like all of us, blown away by everybody's efforts, the fact that everybody's just so willing to do the miles. A lot of people have been up this morning, cracking on, getting on with it. Austin Healy, piled in a load of miles before he set off for Gloucester this afternoon. I'm hoping to get my miles done before I sit down to watch the Gloucester match later. So I just, he's enjoying it. Oh, there's Rory. He's enjoying it, I think, just as much as we all are. Just the sort of way that people have been able to get behind us, whether they're on their bikes or whether they're just actually walking the dog or just getting out and having a breath of fresh air. That's what it's all about. Just basically getting active through January. And look at everyone. Great to see everybody coming through on the feed as well. Brilliant. I saw Mel Nichols this morning out on her bike as well. I just love it. I love the fact people are getting behind it, doing it, and doing so well for us. We really, really, I can't put into words how much we appreciate it.
Rory, if I can touch on rugby, Joe mentioned Gloucester there, obviously one of your old teams, but just give us a bit of a sense. You've been able to go to some stadiums, do some commentary and things like that, but how much are you missing it? Obviously, rugby through and through, just not having the fans in the stadiums. There's some games going on, lots of cancellations. Give us a bit of background to rugby at the moment.
Yeah, Nash, you mentioned it. I think Hoggy earlier on highlighted the fact that those guys really view themselves being privileged to do what they do, and ultimately uninterrupted to a certain extent, albeit more stringent testing and precautions around player safety and so on. But I've been lucky enough to be in stadia, whether the Autumn Nations Cup or the last game of the Six Nations, and I'm doing this upcoming Six Nations. But it's strange. It really is strange. I know you don't maybe get the appreciation of it from home. But what I've learned is that as a broadcaster, as a fan, you thrive off the noise and you thrive off the crowd as much as the players do. I don't think I've had to change the way that I commentate or co-commentate, even though the subs and players are probably within earshot. But yeah, it's a very different spectacle. It's a very different product, I think, and we're all desperate to see fans back in the stadiums again. Jill and I did the Scotland-France game at BT Murrayfield, and it's just an altogether different product and experience. And I think the players will be desperate as well as the fans. So look, I think we're just going to keep progressing. So many people today have spoken about that purpose, and for us, it's just got to be a vision and doing everything that we can to take a step closer. And my brother actually mentioned to me yesterday, we were having a chat about the challenges of it and homeschooling and so on and so forth. Not that my 14-month-old is ready for homeschooling yet, but he actually said, you know what, even when we're allowed a couple of mates round to the house, it'll feel like a wedding. And then imagine how good weddings will be, and imagine how good the full sports stadia will be. We'll all be a bit socially backward for a little while, but imagine how good it will be when we reach that point whereby the normal that we used to know is the normal again. So yeah, I'm lucky to be able to watch games of sport live and talk about them and hopefully entertain and inform a few people at home. But yeah, it's certainly a different product.
Absolutely, well said, Rory. And it's something that the day will come when we can shake a hand again, and you can do all these things that we took for granted before. And a couple of people will turn into a party quite quickly when you get them around your house. So those are good days that we can look forward to.
And Nash, when you mention that, like Jill will know better than most, like the big man Doddy is a hugger. And we all love a hug of the big man, and I love a handshake that leads to a hug or just a hug straight up. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think not being able to hug family is tough going, but the big man, I always think of the big man when people start talking about the physical contact, because he is a big lover of a hugger, and I can say that most people who get a hug off Doddy feel even better.
We've got Davey, captain of Edinburgh, on. Davey, you still with us? Davey told me. Davey, you told me a good story through the week when you started going to the chiropractor with Doddy.
Yeah, so we had a hoot. So when I first met Doddy a few years ago, just after I got diagnosed, he invited me down to his magician, a guy called Donald, who's a chiropractor specialising in neurological conditions down in Galashiels. Every Monday night, Doddy and I would meet up in Galashiels, a bit of banter, and to get our necks cracked and prodded, and we felt all the better for it.
That's the game. Jill and Doddy, I mean, have you seen what he's going through just now? We all are in lockdown and we can't be. Has Doddy found that hard? Obviously, with the days that he wants to get out and meet people and see people and things like that. Is lockdown hit him hard, or has he just sort of kept that positive attitude, just constantly going?
Listen, a bit of both. He is the most positive creature on earth. You've no idea the sort of inspirational joy that he brings whenever you speak to him, and he's so focused. And I think he's probably enjoyed the time at home with the boys and Kathy, because I don't know if you know where they live, but it's like Piccadilly Circus sometimes. You know, they're so open and welcoming. But I think in some regards, I think it's been a really special time for them all. So they've had time to just be together and enjoy each other's company. But he's such a social animal, Doddy. I think he is missing getting out and seeing people. This weather's tough for him, especially because he's not great on his feet. So slippy, snowy ground underfoot is lethal for him because his balance isn't as great. He can't put his arms out to save himself, so he's not able to get out as much. So I think getting into the spring, bit of better weather, and just a couple of things for him to look forward to. You know, that's what he needs. But listen, the guy has got positivity and mental strength to beat the lot of us. I mean, he's just amazing, and he'll get back for the Six Nations, and we want to see Scotland do well in the Doddy Weir Cup. I'm off to come with ITV next weekend doing the big one, Italy, France. Sadly, not in Rome, because all of us have had so much fun in Rome over the years. I love going to Rome, but it is what it is. We have to do what we've got to do. But Big Doddy, he's in fine form, I can assure you that, and he's with us every pedal of the way today, I can tell you.
We were chatting with Jim Hamilton earlier about the Dodcast, and even just that way of getting Doddy's message over has been well received, and you can get that on the My Name is Doddy website, the podcast across Apple.
I think it's just, as Davey says, he's very open and giving of his experiences with MND, and one of the things that we thought would be really helpful to people and families is the Dodcast, so that in their own time, when they're ready, they can listen to different elements of his journey and his experiences, and hear about our research work, hear about what we're doing. So we're going to continue to do those. We've put together a booklet of some of his experiences. We'll share that soon with patients. And every day he wants to share what he's learned, and he talks to patients all the time. People, that get in touch with him. He's so giving and open about what he's been through. And long may that continue, because I think he just gives a lot of hope and inspiration to people. And that positivity, we keep talking about it, but I wish we could bottle it.
Yeah, if we could bottle it, yeah, absolutely. You get that every time we get a message. I think it lifts everybody when we get a message from him. And Joe, I was mentioning earlier, and people were sending in messages, just Rob Burrow from the rugby league world as well, obviously going through such a hard struggle. But have you, with the My Name is Doddy Foundation, there's connections there and synergies there working together? How's that sort of unfolded with Rob Burrow and his team?
Yeah, well, we spoke to Rob right at the beginning, and I think because they've got a lot of mutual friends, Carl, my husband, knows Rob from his days in Leeds, and Kevin Sinfield in Boys. And there's a lot of crossovers and mutual friendships there, and Brian Redpath, etc. So I think Doddy was in touch with Rob very early on, and they're in touch a lot. They're mutually supportive. Stephen Darby as well, which is fantastic. And there are crossovers, and I think what Kevin Sinfield did, raising funds for MND Association and for Rob and his family, was phenomenal. And I think that shone a big light on MND in a way that we've been doing. So I think there are lots of synergies there that we've in lots of conversations with them about how we might work together and support research together, but also, have a bit of fun at the same time. So we're hoping to do a cross-league match at some point. There's plenty we can do. It's just been held up a wee bit by this flipping COVID. Yeah. But by the same token, we've got big plans, and I'm sure as things open up, we'll be able to move forward with that. But equally, it's given us time to really think about what we want to do over the next 10 years, really refine our strategy, really think about what we want to do to make a difference. And we hope that'll all come to fruition and share that with everybody, hopefully in the next few weeks.
When you talk about plans in the future, has Rob Wainwright come out with anything extravagant? Obviously, him and Mark set everybody on the bikes today. Has Rob ever had to be sort of, no, Rob, that might not work?
Have you ever said no to Rob Wainwright? Ever?
Oh, good point. Good point.
Listen, Rob Wainwright is a tour de force. I absolutely long to bits, but sometimes I see his number flash up and I think, oh my goodness me. However, saying that, it wouldn't be happening without him. He is incredible. Alex, who works with us, who looks after a lot of our digital marketing stuff, Alex summed it up beautifully. He called it Rob's latest caper, and it is it is a caper. But Mike is absolutely brilliant. So, Rob, I dare I say, what I'm thinking is, right, we're going to do this every year now. It's going to be an annual Doddy Aid in January. Sign up, and we'll make it simple. We'll streamline it. We'll make it really straightforward. You can sign up, get fit in January, do your bit for the foundation, do your bit for MND. So watch this space. We will make sure that it's perhaps a little bit easier to navigate. And hopefully I won't be getting as many emails about where's my snood, because I promise you they're on their way. We're doing the best we can.
Oh, we know these things. It happens, doesn't it? But even just the communication and the way you guys have been putting messages out, it has been so well run. And even for this event, seeing things, how it's all put together behind the scenes, it's commendable, and a massive well done to everybody behind the scenes for pulling this off. I think we must be approaching 1 million soon, hopefully. I think we're about 870,000 at the start of this morning.
Incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and we can't thank people enough for that. And as I say, we'd love to make sure everybody stays connected to the foundation. I think once we finish in February, we'll send out a little email from Brian, who's been in charge of Snoodgate, and get everybody to sign up to our to keep in touch with us, and we can share all the information we've got. We can share what we're doing, let you know about other challenges we might have going on, and also, I think more importantly, let you know how we're going to invest the funds that we've been raising, make sure we're doing it properly, make sure we're getting the best return for our investment.
Yeah, and just while you're here as sort of CEO of the foundation, I want to say a huge a thank you to Mark Beaumont, who's on here, who has put all his energies into this. And he'll maybe not like me saying this while he's on the call, but what inspiration! He's put so much time, energy into this, put this all together behind the scenes, and we wouldn't be here unless he was the athlete that he was, and with the time that he gives other people. So, Mark, thank you very, very much. It's just great to be involved in this and for everything that's getting raised.
I couldn't say enough thanks to Mark and everybody else, but Mark particularly. He and Rob have driven this forward, and of course they did so well. They've done significant rides for us in the past, and I'm sure they'll do it again, but I think this has just caught people's imagination. And Mark, to see what he's been able to do this last few weeks, getting this together. And also, you look ahead to tomorrow, we've got Chris Hoy, Geraint Thomas and Mark Cavendish leading a club ride tomorrow. I mean, flipping heck, I can't, you pinch yourself. These are guys that I have followed for the last 20 odd years, 15 years with the BBC, been at all the big races, seen them achieve so much. To see them working for the foundation, doing what they can for Doddy, bringing them together, it's humbling, I tell you what it is. And I just want to, I can't keep saying thank you, but I just mean it. It's just been incredible. And I think we just hit that sweet spot in January where people were thinking, we need to do something. We're in lockdown. We've had a long winter. Let's get out and have a bit of fun and focus our minds and just try and do something and motivate ourselves to get moving.
I'm going to take this opportunity to check in with a future Beaumont or Hoy, and we've got Mika. How are you doing, Mika? Jill, this is 10-year-old Mika, who has been going since 6 a.m. this morning. Not sure if his dad's heard us. They're maybe on mute at the moment, but he's there. I can see him. I think he might be climbing a hill at the moment because he's
well done, Mika.
He's out his seat and he's going for it. But he's there. He's still with us, and there's so many people still contributing. They're still on their bikes. It's just great to see, guys, as I scroll through the pages. If you are watching on Facebook, Twitter, please do share with your friends, take the photos, tag Doddy Gump, check out doddyaid.com for ways to donate. Everything that's going on today, all for the My Name is Doddy Foundation. And today, of course, is World in a Day. So,
tell you what, you're wearing the t-shirt well, Nash. You're looking smart there.
I've got it in the hood. It was too hot for the hoodie. Thank you for organising that, Joe. I thought I better be wearing something that's branded for the charity when I.
It's superb.
Rory, how are you, Rory? I'm waiting. Hopefully, Kelly Brown's going to be joining us soon.
I tell you what, when Kelly comes, I'll hop off. So,
okay.
I'll, in fact,
Nash, No, actually, I'm good. I just think it's this is a sign of the Leeds district that the co-captains are on board at the same time. It's working together, putting in the graft. Still out of her comfort zone on the watt bike, on Big Hoggy's watt bike. I've no doubt he'll be out of his comfort zone in some way, shape, or form in Russia, but we don't need to know the detail of that. But no, I think my comment around all of this is, how sore are everybody's bums who have been on their bikes since 6 a.m. this morning? Because mine's bad enough, and I'm just closing in on 100k. It's phenomenal, and these youngsters, oldies, dafties alike, who are taking on this challenge, massive credit. Doddy would be, I can imagine him sat in his living room just watching Zoom all day and tuning into the chat and probably blushing a little bit when we talk about him. Doddy, I first worked with Doddy when the year after I retired from international rugby, and he was doing the boxes at Murrayfield before the game. And Doddy, we go between room to room, and I can't remember what the game was or who the opposition player was who was going to be introduced by Doddy, but essentially I walked into the room and he said, "Now, we trawled the nation far and wide to find a rugby player who could come and talk about Scotland, but we managed to upgrade to a Hollywood star from The Lord of the Rings, played a hobbit in the movie, and then represented me. We've got him here to talk about rugby today." In Doddy's typical way, I thought, you bugger. But then he went on to talk about how my grandfather, Bill McLaren, this didn't actually happen, but my papa once spoke about Doddy as he's like a runaway giraffe. But Doddy himself said, I've had many a special time with Bill, Rory's granddad. And he said, the proudest moment for me was when he said, "There he is. We're in the line out. He's as much use as a lighthouse in the desert." And obviously he didn't ever say that, but Doddy, in his typical self-deprecating fashion, that was his introduction to himself and me. So I'm sure he'll be sat watching on at these hundreds of people who are putting in the 240 miles, the 50 miles, the 20 miles, whatever it is. It's phenomenal.
I'm aiming for 24, I think. That's my I think if I do a 10th.
Rory, we've got a few people. Ian Clark says 145 miles in, his bum is sore. Johnny Elliott, our mutual friend, his hoop is in tatters. So there's a few guys, the bums are beginning to hurt. I think Mark Beaumont, he will definitely still be here. Mark, any advice on sore bums at the moment?
I mean, we're actually in that awkward bit of the ride. If you have been riding since early doors, you're in that awkward middle shift where you're a long way from the start and you're still a long way from the finish. And it really is that sort of that hump period where you're trying to motivate yourself because it does hurt, and you sort of think, "Oh, I need to do that all again." There's no great tricks, distraction tactics, keep fueling. Psychological crashes normally happen at the same time as nutritional crashes. So if you're feeling in the dumps, eat something. If you're struggling, just give yourself something every 10 minutes that you sip on your water, or just give yourself some daft milestones to get through. And whatever you do, don't obsess on those numbers, okay? The miles will take care of themselves. The more you stare at them, the slower they go.
Mark, that resonates very closely with me. I jumped on the bike this morning and I had a coffee beforehand, and without any nutrition, my mind started playing games with me pretty quickly. Poor Freddie, my baby boys, had to go without his breakfast because I nicked it to be able to give me that little bit extra for the stint. So it certainly resonates with me that I jump off the bike and get some grubbing.
What was Freddie eating?
He was eating like a double portion of porridge, chased down with a bit of Greek yogurt and a bit of toast. So he was due to eat that. Instead, I benefited. He's probably making his own at some stage. Post-nap. This is me capitalising like many on the nap window.
We've got
I have to say, I reckon every turn of the pedal every minute countdown takes me closer to the end of dry January. That's what's motivating me at the minute.
Well, Joe, motivation coming in here. We've got Ross. Who do I have? Stephen Robinson was only going to do 60 to 100 miles. I'm now at 140 miles, so a bit of food.
Blimey.
I'll continue to do the full 240.
Wow.
If you like, the psychology of that's fascinating. Because if you get on the bike this morning thinking, I've got maybe a century in me at most, and you're suddenly going to do a double century plus, you know, I've said it a few times this morning, there's no easy 240 miles. It is a massive stint. I don't care who you are. And so to not have woken up this morning with that target and now to crack on to that gold standard is a huge undertaking. I mean, you'll always be able to talk about that. You know, very few bike riders will have done a double century. So it's a big personal achievement for anyone going for the whole hog.
Got Ross Duncan there, Mark, from North and Midlands. 24 hours he's doing today. 6 hours in, 241 kilometres done.
Ross Duncan is a unique rider. I mean, his ability to suffer on the indoor trainer. I mean, doing this outside and doing it inside is a very different game. Ross has the ability to suffer like few people have ever met. I think he's going to go straight through the night, and he's planning to go straight into the Chris Hoy ride tomorrow morning at 9:45. So, you know, you don't all need to do that. I always say, you know, whether you're taking on a 20 miler, a 100 miler, a 240, you know, it's tough based on, you know, who you are, your physical fitness and your prep and your experience. So, you know, in terms of the distance, they're all the same because it equals, you know, your journey on a bike. So for somebody like Ross, who can go straight through the night for 24 hours, he's going to get the same memories, the same sense of commitment, but he's just got to go a bit further than the rest of us because he's such a nutter.
Mark, talking about nutters.
Where is he? Let's get him on for a chat. If you go off.
Let's still going.
Sorry, Rory.
Nashi, I'll bid you farewell. I'm about to take my top off. Nobody needs to see that. I'm gonna carry on in my own painful little corner of the Cotswolds, so that I can get ready to watch the game later. But listen, all power to you all, guys. Nashi, thanks for this today, and to Mark and everybody. You're doing a fantastic job. I can't tell you much appreciate it. Keep going. May the wind be on your back.
Thank you, Joe. Great to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Rory, sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say,
Did you see Alistair Great saying, you know, I set out to do 40, so a 60-mile target, having only ever done 40. He's now got 100 miles in the bag. Motivation from the speakers was awesome. That's what it's all about. I mean, you know, you've just doubled plus your biggest ever ride. Amazing.
Mark, it was just when I saw my old school pal Nikki jump in the background, and you mentioned nutter. Your long, I was. She wouldn't thank me for it, but I was going to get. There she is. I was going to get some input from the long-suffering wife as to what it's like to have a nutter like you as a husband, plotting these unbelievably inspirational challenges for everybody. But sitting on your bike in the living room.
I just hope I get all the wife points in the world for dealing with this one.
Absolutely.
It's lovely seeing you.
Great to see you too, Nikki. Great to see you.
Rory, were you on earlier when Mark said this was Nikki's idea?
Yeah, honestly, Nikki's to blame. She came through to me in the office a couple of weeks back and said, you know what, you should bring back that World in a Day for Doddy Aid. And I was busy and I sort of tried to ignore her for a few days, and then she said it again. And the rest is history.
I am regretting it now, though, because I'm like cooking up meals left, right, and centre, making cakes, dealing with the girls, postman, the dog, the snow, the rain, the sun.
Sweating all over the kitchen here.
Well, Nikki, surely you've got a sibling that might be able to deliver some Meals on Wheels. If only.
I've just been told that we've got a rower. We've got Hugo that's rowing at the moment. So well done to you. There he's waving. I see Hugo. Well done. Keep going, Hugo. He's on the rowing machine with his thumbs up. There's so much going on, guys. This is fantastic. And thank you to everyone. Oh, Big Jim's in. Jim. He's back on. So we've got another captain.
I've been on for a little bit.
Hiya, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. Well done, guys. Unbelievable. What Mark was talking about there, he might have mentioned it before. Isn't there a word where you go through a bit of a lull and it's called bonking? Is that the right terminology, Mark?
Yeah, bonking. Very technical term there. And it's to bonk, to hit the wall. I mean, some people find it if they're doing a time trial and they're going max out and they literally just don't have the carbs, don't have the fuel. You know, if
all the heart, Mark, because I went out with John Barkley and he bonked after about 10 minutes.
Shut up, Jim.
Here we go. Here's John. Northern Midlands is in the house.
Just, I knew that was coming up.
Bike.
I'm on my bike.
He's not even on his bike.
I'm on my bike.
Have a look then, John.
It's just under the desk.
Oh, yeah.
John, how are you? John, Northern Midlands going strong. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. I'm good. I've been up round Arthur Seat this morning on the bike. I don't have a turbo, so I've been out this morning in the fresh air, trying to get some miles in.
Good on you, Johnny. John, just give us a bit of your history with Doddy. Obviously, we're all involved in this amazing challenge, but you got any good Doddy stories, any good experiences with Doddy over the years where he's sticking the memory?
You always used to have to go up into the President's Lounge with Doddy, and he would basically just rip the piss out of you for 20 minutes. And it probably wasn't the easiest job to be the host of the President's Lounge at that time, and we weren't winning many games. So Doddy would, always make, have you up, have a pint with you, but he always looked after you. Doddy was always one of those guys you knew was on your side. So for me, one of my most, I guess, the best moment for me with Doddy was the Scotland New Zealand game where he was there. He brought the ball out just not long after his diagnosis had been made public. So as a captain, I spoke to him a bit in the build up to that game. He came into camp. And it was all very raw, his emotion, and it was all very new. So to be part of that game and the reception he got at Murrayfield, I get goosebumps talking about it. And many people who were there who said the same. The energy in the stadium that day was something pretty remarkable.
Yes, absolutely. It's a day I think we all remember. Whether you're watching at home or you watched it in a replay, it was a remarkable day, and just to see Doddy and his boys walking out and to meet you, and it was Kieran Reid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A big old day, a memorable moment. Who have we got? Jim, have you been on the bike all day, or is this you back on for a good stint? What's the plan?
Yeah, well, again, trying to manage the time with the 4 kids. Just actually went for a run with the kids down the beach. I pretended I was cramming and don't do that. Absolutely rammed. Can you hear me all right, Nashy?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. No, so it's just, I'm back on for an hour now, and then I'll come back on at the end. But, yeah.
Good on you. Well, this is sort of the lunchtime phase. We've had Jill Douglas, the captains are on. I think Kelly Brown is going to join us soon. 2:30, Jason Fox will be coming on for a chat. Already on. He's already putting the miles in, but we'll catch up with Jason at 2:30. 4 p.m, we'll move on to Luke and Tom Stoltman, the world's strongest brothers. 5 p.m, Jenny Faulkner's coming on for a chat. 5:45, we've got Gavin Hastings. 6:30, Andrew Cotter. And as it's been all day, I think we'll be going in and out of conversations with the inspiring riders that are putting in unbelievable miles. So if you are watching on Facebook, Twitter, please do keep donating. Thank you for all the efforts as we try to get to £1 million raised throughout the month. worldinaday.com. And take your photos, share the screen, share your bikes, share your miles across social media. Use Doddy Gump, and let's try and get this as big as we can.
Nashi, just on that one, we've got John on there, and it looks like he's sweating like a madman in his lovely, beautiful study with high ceilings. John, we were talking about when me, you, and Rory Lawson went for a ride round East Lothian, and Mark was talking about after a few miles, lads started to struggle, people started to struggle, and after about 10 minutes, what was called bonking. You bonked after about 10 minutes after I led you up the hill at the windshield. Embarrassing on a bike. I thought I was bad.
Jim, all I know is after we got around, what we did 2 50k laps. After, 3k into the second lap, So 52k, and
we did about 300k. Just say that because it wasn't that far. Let's make it sound far.
You said you were starting to look for potholes to try and get a flat tire in so we could go home. That was genuinely one of the hardest things I'd ever done. I said I was absolutely fucked by the end of that thing. I hit that wall, and I don't know why, I just could not go any further.
The frustrating thing is,
it was weird.
The frustrating thing is I love cycling, right? And I look horrendous on a bike. I look ridiculous because I'm 6'9" with heels, and I've got cyclist arms. It's the weight. It's because I'm so heavy. On a flat or downhill, I am flying. The minute it goes up slightly, I may as well be walking backwards on that slow. And John's worse than me.
Yeah, and I was going to say I'm worse than you. So you go well, but I am absolutely shocking on the bike.
Oh, I'm amazing on the static bike. Humbly.
Guys, as we've got the three of you here, and hopefully Kelly will join, we look ahead to the Six Nations. It's round the corner, obviously.
Actually, I'm in.
You're in, Kelly. Here he is.
He's on his bike as well. Good lad.
I'm in. No, I've been out. I did 40 miles. I cycled up to Loch Lomond this morning. It was absolutely Baltic.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, so I've done my bit.
We had your team. We had your manager on this morning, Ali McCoist. He was singing your praises.
He's been incredible. He's been smashing a load of miles, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been doing really well, and he was on his bike and he was telling us all sorts of stories, and hopefully he'll join us at the end of the day when he gets home. He's out and about this afternoon, but hopefully he'll join us again. But guys, Kelly, I'll just start with you since you're on screen for me here. Looking ahead to the Six Nations, obviously England first up, big game. How do you think things are shaping up? And then John, all the guys just chip in as and when.
Yes, I think it's quite exciting. I think it's a funny one because it seems like the Six Nations is only actually just finished. Obviously with the Autumn Nations Cup. I think what I do think is going to be interesting is obviously Scotland have not won down in England since I think it's 1983 or something like this, or 1982. So a long time, and it's going to be interesting without a crowd to see if it's going to help us. Is it going to hinder us? I don't know. I think it was the last time we were down there. It was the amazing game, and it was the drawn game, which was incredible. If Scotland have got all the top players, which I think we do, we can go down there and cause an upset. Absolutely.
Yeah, Jim, coming in from your angle.
Yeah, look, when you play against England, it's always tough. The results in recent years speak for themselves, don't they? I think you look at the pool of players that England have got to choose from. That's why they're one of the best teams in the world. I think from a Scottish perspective, it's always the biggest game on the calendar, right? My dad always used to say to me, even if you got beat by Romania and Georgia, it doesn't matter as long as you beat England. And a lot of people feel that way, right? I think the recent successes that we've had against England have been when we've had a little bit of niggle. The incident with Ryan Wilson in the tunnel. So I've got a bit of feedback there.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to put them on mute.
Yeah.
So the successes that we've had before when there's been a bit of niggle, Ryan Wilson, the incident with him and Ford and Farrell in the tunnel. The breakdown with John Barkley is obviously on here as well. And it's whether or not we can, all the smaller things that probably go unseen, and unless you're a rugby pig, you wouldn't necessarily understand the nuances around it. But the set piece is obvious. So the scrum, Scotland were a lot better at scrum time now, although the pro teams, Glasgow and Edinburgh, don't show that. The Glasgow scrum's been really poor, Kelly. I know we've spoken about it this year. Xander Fagerson against Edinburgh gave away 7 penalties. That's not a reflection on him because he's class. But I think collectively, as a scrum, Scotland are very strong. Both the pro teams have struggled this year. In terms of Edinburgh, were obviously top of the conference last year, so they were confident going in. Glasgow notoriously have been a really good team. But England across the board have got fantastic players, like they really have. Farrell at 10 is a quality player, as we know, but it's easy to get stuck into. The set piece element to that. England have got a few players injured in the front row. So they're down to their kind of second, third string props. So I think we need to put a lot of pressure on there. But without going off on a tangent too much, where we've struggled from a Scottish perspective is around the 5-10 metre line of the opposition. So we get loads of possession, do really good work to get into the positions. But whereas your top teams, England, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia to a degree, will take points, come away with tries, come away with 3 points. Scotland, we've had a lot of errors and inaccuracies around that part. So you're not going to get many opportunities against England, and we've got to be able to take them. So, we're in a good position, I think. The lads will say without me going on. I think we are in a good position. The Autumn Nations Cup, we look good again. The big problem that we've always had, and John will know this, because I remember a few years ago, your first game was against Wales. Our first game was against Wales, and we thought we were going to go down there and win, and we got absolutely hammered. The World Cup first game against Ireland, it was 20-odd points to nil. My point being is notoriously, Scotland, we struggle at the first game of the tournament, always. So England's not an easy place to go and play. Like Kelly said there, the fact there's no fans, I think is arguably beneficial for us. It takes away that added edge to the players. Finn Russell, world-class player. Will he start with Cameron Redpath in the centre at 12? Maybe. Inexperienced, but a quality player. And we've got a chance, but we need to be at our very best to beat England.
John, you want to follow on there?
Don't know what to add to that. That was like a seminar.
What do, mate?
I thought, Jim, the media, mate. Jim, I thought you were going to start talking about the physios next, or the masseuses or something they had. We covered just about everything there. No, that was. I think Jim's right. I think everyone knows is that big game, isn't it? And then when you were a player, you had to try and play it with a straight bat when you got asked about it, and try and not give the media anything. But I think over the last couple of years, there has been a bit more of an acceptance. There's been a bit of niggle, like Jim said, a bit more of a grudge. And I think probably because the games have been closer. There's a couple of years, for a number of years, England were hugely dominant. And if you look at the number of players England have, the resources they have, it's not a level playing field. So they should win almost every single time. But for rugby's not played on paper. So Scotland have some world-class talent now in Finn Russell, Hamish Watson, Jamie Ritchie, guys with a bit of X factor like Duan van der Merwe and Hoggy. So actually, I think on the face of it, Scotland's frontline team is very strong. Where I think England have an edge is in the power game they bring. I think they're a team full of power, and that's the way rugby's been played. Just that power game now. You saw that against Ireland in the last game of the Autumn Nations Cup. I think Scotland had done quite well up until, and Ireland went back to revert to type, just played Route 1, north-south rugby, and Scotland struggled with it. So, I think the first match is always hard. Like Jim touched on, Scotland haven't done that well in their first match of late. I do think this is a big test for Scotland going in. Everyone else says that this could be the year, but I think we learned a lot last Six Nations and then kind of under-delivered in the Autumn Nations. But I like the look of the way the team's going. I just hope they throw the ball around a bit more than they did in the Autumn Nations Cup.
John, you mentioned Hamish Watson, Jamie Ritchie, and we know Mata and Blair Kinghorn all re-signed for Edinburgh. It's good for Scottish rugby that they're staying here because they're big-name players and important players for the national team, let alone Edinburgh. Are you pleased to see them all staying?
Yeah, I am, and I think it's important. I think it can be a bit of a snowball effect with players leaving. You want to be in a team full of the best players when you want to feel like you're part of a club that's investing in it. So if a couple guys leave, it has a bigger knock-on effect with guys who are maybe on the fence. Might think, I should probably leave as well then. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I think Glasgow, a load of players have left Glasgow and have left Scottish rugby. And I think, I always say to people who leave, fair play to them. I think the bigger issue is replacing these guys. So for Edinburgh to keep hold of those guys is huge. In particular, I know Hamish would have had and Jamie would have had a lot of guys, keen to secure their services. So shows a bit of intent. I think, there's a bit more recruitment to be done in Scottish rugby, I think. And I fully appreciate money doesn't grow on trees, and we're in the middle of a global pandemic and finances are hitting everyone. So, I thought that for me was some pretty good business, and it looks like Edinburgh showing a bit more intent to try and hold on to the players.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, can I bring Davey in, Edinburgh team captain? We'll bring this back to Doddy.
Hello, Nasty.
Davey, how are you? Davey, you still going strong?
Strong, starting to peak now. I'm honest, that's now in in uncharted territory in terms of daily mileage, but I'm having a good day.
Having a good day. Now, you've been competing against these other captains, and I said to you on Instagram during the week, a bit of the chat and a bit of this, that, and the other. It's all going well. As 4 captains, I just want to, on behalf of everyone, say thank you to all of you, all the leaders of the teams. You've been fantastic across social media. You've been out doing your miles. You've been inspiring, and to turn up today to just tell a little bit about the rugby, a bit about the story. And Davey, just update, because there'll be people that's joining in that have not heard your story a little bit earlier. Could you just give us a bit of the background to yourself? Because obviously the well-known rugby captains that we've got, and you're leading Edinburgh because of your own personal battle with MND.
Yeah, no, of course. Thanks, Nashi. Yeah, so I imagine a lot of people in the call will be very familiar with the sporting legends on the other captains of the teams. And they might think, team captain Edinburgh, who's this Chancellor Davy Shiv? Who's the odd one out? But, you know, I'm no rugby legend, but I've got a very close connection with Doddy and motor neuron disease. I'm an Edinburgh boy, born and bred. And in 2018, at the age of 30, I was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, which, you know, is a difficult news to receive at any stage of your life, let alone when you're young, active, fit, 30-year-old with your life in front of you. So it's been a difficult couple of years, getting our heads round, accepting my lot in terms of what it means to have motor neuron disease. But I suppose, you know, like Dodgy himself, I'm one of the lucky ones. 50% of people who have motor neuron disease die within 2 years. And I'm on the right side of that 50%. So every day is a good day. So I've had a busy couple of years, and last August I raised £125,000 with my pals cycling around the North Coast 500 in aid of Doddy, the big man, and My Name's Doddy Foundation. So I was very happy to get the call from Rob Wainwright in mid-December to come in and captain my home side for Team Edinburgh.
Good on you, Davey. No, it's a story of, mate, it's the hardship that you're going through, and to see you on your bike putting the miles in. But you do that, am I right in saying, when you did the North Coast 500, what's your team called?
Ride for MMD.
Ride for MMD.
So, so we had to ride for something. So we rode to raise as much awareness and cash as possible for Doddy and Foundation. So it was great to hear Jill earlier telling all of us about their progression in terms of all the research and in terms of what the money we're collectively all fundraising for will be put towards in terms of the different streams of research and all the progress which is going on in terms of finding treatments and a cure for this horrible disease. So I've got to thank the other captains. I've got to thank every single one on the bikes right now, and all the mass participation of everyone at Doddy Aid, and for all the money and awareness we're driving, because although it's a good competition, it's not over yet. We're all sharing the same goal, and that is to kick MMD into touch. We're all part of that cure. So thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. And another thank you. Chris Webb on the chat here has come in saying, to our long-suffering wives, partners, families, whoever's involved, they deserve credit for letting us doing what we're doing today. Spending a whole day for a lot of you, putting in 240 miles. We heard about the man, I forget his name, but he's on for 24 hours. The guy, Mark, or somebody can maybe remind me of his name. He's going to do 24 hours today and then catch up with Chris Hoy and the guys tomorrow. So there are people today doing incredible things. They're pushing through pain barriers. They're enduring, and they're just keeping going. But Rory, if I can go to you, Rory Lawson, just hearing Davey's story as another captain, it's an inspiring story, and he tells his story, and it's something that Davey has to battle every day, and it's just another thing that we can hear to just try and do a little bit more ourselves.
Yeah, what a guy. Only really got to know Davey through this January. As Edinburgh skips, he's an inspirational bloke. there's something in this. It's this perverse world whereby things like this happen to those who can deal with it best, or people when they're tested show their real colours. And I think for Davey to step up the way that he has, that he's taken people with him. And there's something to be learned. There's this big vision that we're all part of, this big purpose of trying to find a cure for motor neuron disease in Davey's lifetime and Doddie's lifetime. But I think there's also something about it. So many of us either live in the past or we live in the future, rather than like living in the here and now. And I think Davey encapsulates that better than many people that I've met in the world, whereby you just get up and you get on with what you have on a daily basis, and rather than worrying about what might happen in the future, rather than worrying about what might have happened in the past. Nick Davey, I mean, what a phenomenal bloke. He's already gone beyond the limits and the mileage he's ever done before. And I think he's part of that MND community that I certainly feel part of now. Doddy brought it to the attention of so many people. Rob Burrow and the work of Kevin Sinfield has brought it even further towards the millions. Stephen Darby, who Jill mentioned earlier on, we've all seen these guys on BBC Breakfast. I think BBC are worth a shout out as well, because they brought this cause to the forefront of people who may never have heard of motor neuron disease. So I think Jill touched on it earlier on. For My Name is Dolly Foundation, for Ride for MND, for MND as a whole, I think the key thing for this is that when we hit February the 6th, we're all on board the battle beyond that. February 7th, February 8th, into the years that go ahead. And I certainly feel so engaged, whether it's wearing Doddie's colours or the Team South snood. And it's that purpose that I think everybody's enjoyed being part of.
Totally agree, Rory. And it's a little thing at the moment, even with COVID that's here, people are taking things day to day and not looking that far ahead, because we can't plan that far ahead. And this is a perfect example of today. There's a lot of miles for you guys to get through. And as Mark Beaumont is sort of reiterated, don't look too far down the road. Get through what's in front of you. Keep going. And Davey, hearing your story, and obviously we know what Doddy, you're battling every day, but you're taking every day as it comes. Good for you.
Thank you, Nashi. I think, last couple of years, it's just given me a little bit more focus, motivation to live life without compromise. And yeah, as Ruth said, live every day the best you can, inspire others, help others, and have fun along the way, which is what we're all trying to do today.
Absolutely, guys. Well, we'll just take this time again when we hear Davey's story. Anyone that's watching on Facebook, social media, please do donate if you can. DoddyAid is the hashtag. You can go to worldinaday.com and share all your social media chat on Doddy Gump, and hopefully the guys behind the scenes will share everything. There is lots going on as we are approaching 2 o'clock. At 2:30, we've got Jason Fox coming on. 4 p.m, the Stoltman brothers. 5 p.m, Jenny Faulkner. 5:45, Gavin Hastings. 6:30, Andrew Cotter. And throughout the day, as we have been, Rob Wainwright and Mark Beaumont will be jumping in and out of conversations.
Naturally, shall I save your voice for a sec? I just want to give a shout out to Davey as well, if that's okay.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, I just think, listen to Davey, listen to your story. You're probably going to tell it a few more times today. Truly inspiring. I didn't know who you were. When you linked up to be the captain of Edinburgh, I was like, who's this guy? And then watching your story unfold, watching your humility, watching you smile, watching the way that you've embraced this challenge has been an inspiration to me. I know Kelly and John and Rory, without speaking for them, I know it's exactly the same. I think the big thing for me around this is it's been a shit year, right, for everyone, okay? Not just Davey, not just Doddy, a lot of people. I lost my nan this year, I lost my auntie, my wife as well, lost someone very close to us. So it's been a shit year, right? And we're going into another shit year. And I think the big thing for me and the kids and all of us on here is, what did you do during COVID, right? We're going to look back on this in a year's time, 2 years' time, 10 years' time. What did you do? Did you sit around? Did you moan? Did you moan? Did you get political? Did you do? Yeah, we all did a bit of that. You know what? Do you know what we did? We raised money. We raised money to find a cure for MND. We raised money. We raised awareness for people like Davey, for people like Doddy, for the thousands of people who don't have the voice that Davey and that Doddy and Rob and all these high-profile people have had. So for me personally, being a part of this, it's more than just we're doing miles and we're raising money. It's when we look back on this and we can say to our family, we can look at each other in the street and we say, I was a part of that. I was a part of the cure. I was a part of the reason why. So, Davey, your story, you keep going, mate, because...
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay, buddy.
I will. I'll tell you something else I did in lockdown. I made a baby. I'm going to be a dad in March.
Oh, yes, boy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
What a guy.
That's a completely different layer. That's a different layer. You'd rather be on the bike, I tell you, for 4 days to look after a baby. You might not. That's just me.
Davey, I'm going to jump. I know your brother Tommy's on. He came on for a little bit of chat earlier. Tommy, if you're still there, I think you are. I think I did just see you when I scrolled through.
Hey, Nashy.
Hi, Tommy. Tommy is Davey's twin brother. When you see the efforts that people are putting in at the moment, people getting behind Doddy, and now Davey's story, as Jim said, a lot of people won't have known Davey's story a month ago. You know, as his twin brother, as family, speaking on behalf of Davey's family, how does that help you? You know, as a family member to someone like Davey.
Yeah, well, no, it's been thanks, and actually, obviously, we've been through every single moment. Every single hard moment, every single good moment in Davey's journey here. And receiving the diagnosis 2 years ago was exceptionally hard. Hard for Davey's wife and family, but I obviously found it hard being his twin. You know, why does it happen to Davey and not me? You know, we're genetically identical. But seeing Davey.
Johnson has published an open letter.
Seeing Davey, the positivity he's brought to his diagnosis, the positivity he's taken on his challenge of his health, it's been really inspirational for me. I've taken a lot of strength from him, and it's fantastic that we're here and we're talking about it. Before you mentioned MND a couple of years ago, it's been like a dirty word. Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. And you'd move on. But now here we're looking at it right in the eye, and we're engaging with it. And that's what the most important thing is. Telling these stories, getting behind the people who are making change, and having some fun along the way as well.
Yeah, well said. And you know,
well said, Timon.
Yeah, Davey, the two of you, you know, you're both inspiring the way you get behind each other, and you're both on your bikes and ride for MND. How many's in the team? How many's in your team?
There is 6 of us in it, Davey. I think they're all
7, Tom. 7, 8 unofficially.
Yeah, are they all cycling today?
Yes, they are.
Fantastic. Well done, guys. Well done. Guys, we're at 2:00 now. The captains are still here. By all means, if anyone's got rugby questions, any questions for the captains, please do get in touch. You can hit the reactions tab and we can unmute you so you can have a chat about some rugby if you so wish, or whatever takes your fancy. To all the captains, thank you very much for joining us. Kelly, if you're still there, thank you for joining in. Hi, pal.
Still here, mate. Yeah.
Glasgow, as I said earlier, we had Emma Dodds on earlier and Ali McCoist, but you're charging away as Glasgow captain. The whole experience, Kelly, you enjoyed it, and still obviously a week to go.
Oh, it's been amazing just to see the number of people that have got involved and the number of people that have been inspired, and then as a consequence of that, you know, the amount of money that people have raised. It's just been, as has been said by everyone on the chat, it's just been so inspirational to be a small part of that. The people at Glasgow have been amazing, just sort of really, really buying in, signing up to the team, but there's been people all around the world have been getting involved, and it's because of it's been said, like people like Doddy and Rob Burrows, and it's because of these guys, they're getting the word out there. But it's also because people, as soon as they get involved, and then they hear other stories, so there's Davy's story and all this sort of, and just people just get inspired. So it's been amazing just to see the uptake in it, and we've still got another week. So it'd be great if we could get to the £1 million, and if we could smash through that barrier over the course of the next 6 or 7 days.
Absolutely, Kelly. Absolutely. And things at Glasgow going okay? Obviously, recently headed up to Glasgow, and in the coaching team, everything all right there?
Yeah, it's been a baptism of fire. I think it's fair to say, to come in during COVID with a new group, a new coaching group, and then in the autumn, our players or international players were away for significantly longer than it would be in a normal year. So it's been tough, but I do feel like we're starting to turn the corner. We had a good win against Edinburgh in our last game, which is always good to do, and it sets it up nicely for the decider of the 1872 Cup. But I do feel like we're starting to turn the corner, and so with a bit of time, I think we can build something.
Absolutely. I'm not going to dwell on that result against Edinburgh.
Always good to beat Edinburgh, isn't it? Always good. It sets it up nicely, for the Scottish fan. It sets it up nicely, for the decider, whenever that may be. But it's also been just a really strange year, with COVID and with the testing. So we get tested every single week. We had the game at Exeter, so just before Christmas. And in the testing after that game, I think Exeter had something like 20 odd members of their playing group and their staff, tested positive. And so we needed to go into a really strict sort of lockdown to make sure it didn't spread through our squad. So yeah, it's been a challenging year, but as I said, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Awesome, Kelly. It's great to hear, and it's all good for Scottish rugby. If we can get Glasgow and Edinburgh both playing good rugby, and then the players coming in for wherever they may be down south, like Hoggy, Finn over in France, it shapes up sort of hopefully a good, successful future for Scotland.
Oh, it does, and that's the thing. I do think there's a massive place for guys to leave. It's just a stage in their career when they do leave. One of the issues with only having the two teams, obviously, is there can potentially be a bottleneck. So it's always a balance between wanting to have the really successful teams and also wanting to keep the sort of the production line of players coming through. And it's a very, very delicate balance. But I think we'll get there. There's a lot of good people involved at Glasgow, at Edinburgh, and in Scottish rugby in general. And in general, if you get a lot of good people together, then good things can happen.
Absolutely. There's a question coming about grassroots rugby in Scotland. Yep. Rory and Jim, Kelly, can I ask a favour?
Yep.
Have a quick blather about grassroots rugby. Anything else? I'm not going to lie, and I feel terrible. I'm bursting on a pee. I need to go to the toilet before we head into the afternoon session. Jason Fox will be with us at 2:30, and I'll go through the Stoltmans at 4, Jenny Faulkner at 5, 5:45 with Gavin Hastings, 6:30 with Andrew Cotter. There is so much going on. Everybody is still putting the miles in. Well done, everybody. I'll leave you just now. Now, boys, no swearing. There's lots of kids watching. There's 10-year-olds cycling, putting in 240 miles. I'll be back in a minute. But anything on grassroots rugby, that was a question that came in, guys. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, well, who's going to take this? I was going to say I could leave it to either Jim or to Rory to lead it as the two professional TV guys, but both of you guys are on the bike, so I'm not sure if you can still speak.
Kelly, I'll chuck a question at you because obviously grassroots rugby, you're involved in the professional ranks. You'll get eyes on the academies at Glasgow. It's been really tough. It must have been incredibly tough for grassroots, the kids and the adults who have been told that they can't play the game that they love and the game that train for and enjoy being involved in the weekend. What's Ross Thompson done to go 10 months without a minute of rugby under his belt? Albeit he will have been training behind the scenes and training with the squad, but he stepped into the abyss, into the gulf and gap in the fly half jersey for Glasgow against Edinburgh and picked up man of the match. So I guess what's he been doing that some of the adults involved in grassroots and some of the kids who have been starved of their club or school rugby can kind of set their sights on?
So Ross, obviously, as you said, he came into the second Edinburgh game and played incredibly well, got man of the match and guided us around the pitch. I think the key for Ross is just the consistency in his training, and so a lot of people, I think, see the training as just something that's got to be done, or it's just another step or just something I've got to do if I want to play at the weekend. But where I feel that Ross has been great is he's sort of really understood the importance of sort of every session, every day, of constantly striving to get better, and of controlling the factors that he can control. He can control if he's played games. We've got other guys in our academy who've not played a game in 18 months. And so we've got some guys, fresh out of school, have not played a game in 18 months, have never played an adults game of rugby. And it's incredibly difficult for these guys. But what we've tried to speak about is just controlling the factors that you can control. And I think Ross is an example of someone that's done that well. And then he's come in to his first game and he's done well. He's got areas of his game that he needs to improve, and he knows that. But I think as a start, I think he can be very, very. I think he can be happy, with how he's done that. I think with regards to the grassroots, it's tough because it's so sort of individually focused, isn't it? Because these guys, a lot of guys play the game because they like being in a team, and they haven't been able to be in a team, and so you just got to try and figure out, what can you do to keep on improving yourself, but also getting a bit of interaction. I know that some guys, or I know that some people have been doing Zooms, still session on Zooms, and just anything to try and build a bit of a sense of community, whilst at the same time improving their skills.
Jenna, what have you got to say about grassroots rugby?
I've just muted her, guys. I'm back. Sorry. Has that been going on?
I want to know what Jenna's daughter's got. Because she's clearly got something, okay, but Jenna's not going to tell us.
I was actually talking to Jenna then, but I was on mute. Of course, there were first world problems. Just a line from me on grassroots rugby and sport. I suppose it's more than just the rugby, right? That's the difficulty that we've got here. My lad JJ, part of the rugby team, misses just being out there with a group of boys and girls playing. It's a respite for the parents. It's an identity for a lot of families as well. It's not about your kid being a professional rugby player. It's about what you do on a Sunday. You go down, the kids are playing rugby, you have a coffee, you get a respite as well. And it's such an unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. And it's, everyone talks about adapting and, personal development. For the wider public, it's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. You've got your kids screaming at the wall on a Sunday, now on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because they're not at school. So I think understanding that it isn't great, of course. It's awful. I've got a bit of feedback there. You got me, Ro?
Yeah, all good, Jim.
Yeah, but I think it's just realising now that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. However long away that tunnel is, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be another year, And I think it's just a case of holding on. It's going to come back at some point, however that looks. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, believe it or not, nor a politician. So who knows what's going to happen with the vaccine? But at some point, we're going to have to get back to normal. At some point, the kids are going to be playing sport again. So I think it's just a case of, yes, understand that it's not great and make sure that we're not playing against any New Zealand teams for the next 10 years, because they're going to be incredible, because they've got another year of development on them. So, of course they have, because it's the All Blacks. So let's just hope that JJ's age group, the Watsonians under 11s, don't face the Hacker in 2 years' time when they bring a touring team, because it would have been difficult anyway. But the fact that these New Zealand teams have been completely normal is going to make it more difficult.
Nashi, we can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry, my kids were in the room there briefly, so on to mute it went. Is that Rob Wainwright? That is back with us. Rob, is that you? Good to get Rob back on the chat. He's been out tending the cattle up in Call. Guys,
Actually, I was just going to ask while we've got Kelly, because Kelly and John were a part of the actual road cycle last year for the Six Nations, where they travelled down the way. And obviously, Rob Wainwright is an absolute phenomenon, isn't he? He's 50, he looks about 30. He drinks beer like he's about 18. But he's been incredible. John, are you still on there? Is Barkley still on there?
No, he's gone, I think, Jim.
I see. Kelly, how was that ride last year? How about that ride down, Phil? How was that? Because Rob's a phenomenon, isn't he?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So it was actually a ride up. So it was a ride from Twickenham up to Murrayfield. And so I just did a 45-mile stretch from Aylesbury up to Northampton, and it was the first it was the first cycling I'd really done, and I absolutely loved it. And it's given me the bug. But I did 45 miles, and those guys I think did the 500 miles in 48 hours. It was an unbelievable effort. And Rob, as you say, was leading the charge. He's a bit of a beast on the bike, but I'd love to do the whole thing at some point. So hopefully, when we're allowed out in a year or whatever, we can do it. But I'd be similar to you, Jim. I'm okay on the flats, okay on the downhills, not so keen on the climbs.
You've got the heart, though. We've got the heart. If they open that up, they'd see it be huge.
Yeah,
it's just the legs, the back, the neck, and the shoulder reconstructions. Not making excuses.
Yeah, so no power at all, but we can keep on going slowly.
Mark, do you want to chip in there on the Twickenham adventures, Murrayfield to Twickenham?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this all started 3 years ago. And it's gone down the road in that famous draw. In fact, I was sitting next to Kelly, commentating that, while Rob and I were trying to stay awake because we'd just not slept for 2 nights. But we didn't need any encouragement in the second half to stay awake. It was a phenomenal finale. And then last year, of course, when they brought the ball back up the road. But it's interesting when you go on an endurance bike ride like that, London to Edinburgh, absolutely iconic. But, you can sort of be quite cheery and smiling for the first 6 hours. But there's something about going straight through the night. The circadian rhythms, when you should be sleeping, you get grumpy. It's just incredibly hard to just keep focusing and stay physical on the bike. And I guess Rob brings it from the rugby playing days, but he's got real consistency, and that gives other people the confidence to go through. And, I've seen him obviously riding at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and he really does pull people through physically and mentally, and it's a huge part of these challenges. And we were blown away the first year we did it with the amount of people who wanted to come out and ride with us at stupid o'clock in the morning. And I think there is a sense that, the crazier you make it, the more people want to jump in. I think there's a real want to do things which are challenging and a bit daft. So it was good fun. We literally strapped the rugby ball onto the back of his bicycle, and down the road we went. And it got an amazing reception, it really did.
Nashi, I heard that Rob was quite keen to reenact that on his bike next week.
Oh, really? Is he going to jump on and do it?
For 500 miles, I think that's what he said, yeah.
I think, I don't know if he's on. Is he on? As soon as he comes back, I'll mention it to him that you confirmed that it was a good idea.
Nicky, I can confirm that he is keen to do so, but also very aware as to how that might look given the current restrictions. I'm not sure, you know.
No, on his turbo at home.
No, joking aside,
oh, right.
the likes of Ross and Russ and a few people on this Zoom are planning to reenact it virtually for the Calcutta Cup. So I'm not sure how many people are going to be that excited by the prospect at this point in the ride, but they're planning to do a 500-mile ride because they can physically this year, which is amazing, pretty inspiring. But there's something harder about indoor miles, as you're all feeling at this point. So yeah, doing it on the road is one thing. Doing it while going nowhere is harder, I would say.
I'll be there to cheerlead. Don't worry about that.
We'll encourage that one. No, that's a fantastic effort. I can see him there, Russell Kesley, 500-mile. Yeah, incredible. But those sorts of things are happening all day today, guys. It's something that people have stepped up. They've taken on this challenge and are doing it all month. So again, all I can do is congratulate you and keep you going. And there I see Mr. Wainwright is back.
How are you doing?
Nicky was just saying that you're doing 500 miles next week. Did you hear that, chat?
I came on. It was really bad timing. I'm just back from doing the farm, and I've missed the captains. Have I missed Jason? I hope not.
Jason.
Captains are still here. Captains are still in the house.
Captains are still on. Captains are still on.
The captains are still on. Hi, Rory. Hi, Kelly. Jim, I've spoken to
already. Davey, I've spoken to already.
John Bartley's
he's
been on.
Off games, isn't he?
I think he's off now.
So, how's Kelly? I haven't spoken to Kelly or Rory for a long time, having pestered him endlessly about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He's been off the hook for a while.
Rob, we're with you. We're just not quite there with regards to your mileage. Hang on. I've got a contributor. What do you want to say, wee man? Ready, who's that? You want to say hi to Uncle Rob? There we go. Can you see? Famous on me. Woof! Woof! He says you're working like a dog. Woof!
Woof!
Yeah, no, unbelievable work, Rob. We've all been singing your praises.
Well, I'm glad I missed it.
The wee man's now waving.
Rob, we've just been filling until you came back.
I've got a question for Rob. Rob, can I ask Rob a question?
Yeah, bullet points. Make it bullet points, please, Jim.
Rob, we need bullet points, mate. So one question and one question only. I'll keep it simple. Not like the essays we get from you, but albeit much needed. Why do you ride? Why do you ride so far? Tell me why. Every year.
How far have I gone?
No. Why do you do it? I know why you're doing it.
Why?
This time.
Why do I ride?
Why do you ride so far? Why are you so good?
Well, I'm not sure I'm so good, but why do I ride? Because it makes me feel better. I'm not sure if that's true right now. I'm just getting going after 120 miles in the morning, and I'm sitting in a wee hole. I haven't got anyone to ride with. I had John Hall all morning pulling me along, and I've lost everyone in Zwift now. But yeah, no, I ride because it makes me feel better. Sometimes, rather perversely, it doesn't feel like that, but it's good. I tell you, I had the shock of the day. This will embarrass Nashi. As I was just leaving to go and feed the farm, I heard blah, 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 something, and the old guys, like Rob, you said the old guys. You
busted.
You made me suddenly feel very old.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which I was feeling already after 120 miles, but yeah, it's a great thing. The cycling. It's not hard on the knees, not hard on the joints, and you can pretend you're young again, Jim. That's why you can. I can compete with youngsters like yourself.
If you put me in the same league as you, Rob, I'm happy, mate. That the 500-mile effort was
Did you want to see us go or not? No, not really.
I'm sitting behind a G Hamilton. I'm looking for a J Hamilton on Zwift. But I'm not quite keeping up with. Maybe I need to just catch up with him and get drafted along by him.
I'm at the front, the very front, mate. I cannot get Zwift to work. That's the evolution. Maybe I'm in hiding. That's why I don't want to go on Zwift. Everyone who's on there is pretty good to very good to exceptional.
Well, are you in a loft or what, Jim? You look like that's kind of lagging on a roof behind you.
No, it's a garage. It's a garage, aka studio.
Excellent.
Solace.
Well, the difficulty I have today is I've been out on the farm. It is about the nicest day you've ever seen on the Isle of Coll.
You can see by the sky.
You can see behind. You can see in the Veluxes the colour of the sky, can't you? It's just a beautiful day, so it's quite hard to come back in, particularly where we put it in my sunroom, which is now getting kind of warm, which I never imagined the first thing this morning, but it's cooking up in here.
That's it. Well done, Rob. We've got Caleb and Louise here. Never done this before, and we've done 70 miles so far. Our son has done 132 miles. He's now going for the full 240, and they'll see how they get on. But they're in it for the long haul. It's fantastic to see the people, like Mark said earlier, that are going beyond what they thought they could do today. They're really putting a shift in.
Is an amazing achievement.
Before Jason Fox joins us in around 5 minutes, just another sort of shout out for worldinaday.com, where you can push for donations. Doddy Aid is the hashtag, Doddy Gump is the tag across social media. Please do share, take your photos, and keep in touch with everything that's going on throughout the day. Foxy may be on still already, but to the captains, to everyone that's still putting in the miles, your chat's been fantastic. You're inspiring, guys. You're putting in a lot of effort to get all your team members through the miles and raise as much money as possible. Well done, you guys, and well done to everybody that's still on and pushing. And hello to everybody across social media, Facebook, Twitter. Thank you for checking this out and for all your support.
Cheers, Nashi. Good luck, guys. I'll see you. Enjoy Jason. He'll be class. I'm sure I'll catch up with that after. But I'll see you for the home stretch, everyone.
Good man, Jim.
Bring a beer, Jim.
Yes, Jim.
Well, it's more. I've got to change some nappies. See you in a bit.
Thanks, Nashi. Well done, everyone.
You, Kelly.
Cheers, Kelly.
Kelly, you look very stationary. Have you off the bike?
I've been out, cycled. I did 40 miles. I went up to Loch Lomond.
Fantastic.
And as you know, I've got absolutely zero gear. So zero gear and zero idea. And it started snowing when I was pretty much as far away from home as I could get. So I managed to get back. I didn't suffer in terms of the miles, but I suffered in terms of the temperature. It was absolutely Baltic.
But were you wearing your normal Loch Lomond gear? Were you in the budgie smugglers and that was it?
Oh, yeah, I was in the budgies. Yeah. So that's why I was so cold. That's why I was so cold.
Wearing more.
Well done, Kelly. Thanks for coming on, bud.
Okay, cheers, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Kelly.
Cheers.
I can see before I bring Jason, I can see, is it Isabel Fullerton? Have we got a couple of youngsters putting in some miles there? Are you guys able to unmute and have a chat? Not sure. I can see a bag of crisps getting demolished while a young man's on a bike, so we're not going to hear from them. I think everything else is going well at the moment, guys. Keep going. And I can see Foxy is now on. Foxy, how are you?
Hey, mate, you all right?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much for joining us. But you must have put in a few miles already. You've been on the link for, I don't know, a good couple of hours.
No, I've done an hour, then I had to break for a bit of lunch, and I had to bake some cake. I hate cooking and baking. I had to bake some cake for my daughter. I had to put a bit of time in there, but this is a welcome break from that carnage, I can tell you.
I'll bet. There's a lot of people, we said that earlier, it's a bit of a distraction, a bit of dad time. There's a lot of people in garages and locked rooms putting in miles at the moment. But thank you for joining us. I really
That's all right, now. Pleasure to be a part of it. Cheers.
And for everything you've done across social media. You've put out some great videos and some great support for Doddy. My name is Doddy Foundation. and it was Davey, team captain of Edinburgh, who created this introduction. So again, to Davey, he's been so influential throughout the month. Thank you, Davey.
Yeah, nice one.
We'll jump about a bit, Foxy, and obviously we'll have to go through a bit of your story. We'll get into fitness, a bit of your history, taking us to Who Dares Wins. But the first thing, we've got a lot of rugby fans on. I know that you were over in Australia recently doing Who Dares Wins. Australia, and very entertaining man, the Honey Badger, Nick Cummings, won it. Have you got any good stories on the Honey Badger?
Mate, I mean, he's a lunatic, like, in a good way. But he was just, to be fair, he was awesome. He was such a strong character, both physically and sort of psychologically. And he did bring a smile to our faces, but he was actually, across the board, brilliant at everything, which was slightly annoying.
And is that something you've seen through a lot of rugby players? Have you had a few rugby players over the course of the shows that you've done, that sort of rugby mentality, or maybe guys that have trained with military or been to camps and things like that?
Yeah, we've had, I think the only other rugby player we've had on actually is Ben Foden.
Oh, yeah.
Who he was on it. He actually got pipped at the last minute by a football player, Wayne Bridge. But both good lads, actually. But yeah, no, you do sort of see that it is suited to them. There's a lot of guys that are serving that, rugby is their sport, and they get amongst it. There's quite a lot of hidden talent actually in the military. Guys that were borderline being half decent, and they decide to join the military and throw that talent away a little bit.
But the Honey Badger, let alone during rugby. Oh, there's Rob Wainwright, tops off. So Rob, you just burst on everyone's screen.
Sorry. Do you like my Peely Wally Hebridean tan?
Looking great. You're looking strong, Rob. You're looking strong. But yeah, Nick Cummings, what an entertainer on the mic. Was he pulling out any wisecracks behind the scenes or anything like that, or is it pretty much he had to just knuckle down and behave himself?
He took it quite seriously. I was hoping for some of his sort of like post-match repertoire that he's very well known for, but unfortunately, he took it really seriously, and I think he was actually very military in his approach to it. He was like really regimented, which was a little bit disappointing. He was good afterwards.
And I'm going to give a shout out to one of the Scottish competitors that was on the show, Lou McCulloch. Finished. I know Lou, she's been on my own podcast, and a very determined lady. And I mean, her story and everything she did, she was fantastic getting through the interrogation and everything she did.
Yeah, and absolutely, she is. And if she's listening, don't take this the wrong way, but she is an ox, like super strong. And I used to on a few of the tasks, I'd lead the way, and I'd like thunder off. And on one of them, where we were pulling poles through the snow up at quite high altitude, every time I looked behind, she was right on my backside, and I was like, for God's sakes, just leave me alone.
Getting pushed through. But Jason, will you take us back? I mean, if I'm right in saying you joined the Royal Marines at 16, so you were just a laddie as you sort of made that decision. Was it your decision? Was it something that was recommended to you?
It was my decision, although I was sort of influenced by my old man. My dad was a Marine. Not that I remember, I just was privy to some stories and I liked the sound of it. That coupled with the fact that I grew up in Luton, just north of London, and I wasn't particularly academic. In fact, that's an understatement. I was absolutely terrible, and I couldn't wait to leave school. And because of the lack of sort of qualifications, it was always going to be the military. I was quite an outdoorsy type person, enjoyed sport, wasn't any good at it, but enjoyed it. And so yeah, that's why I went that way.
And what about, you say you didn't enjoy sport or any good at it, but were you fit? Were you healthy, or did the Marines turn you into that?
I was still, I wasn't too bad. I mean, I was 16. I was, nothing to me, bit of a waif, but my dad did, he prepared us quite well. So we were into sort of like fitness, going out, doing the runs. I put in quite a shift before I joined up, actually. And actually, I think I neglected the other stuff that I needed to know, because I turned up as a 16-year-old reasonably fit, as you'd expect. But it was the rest of everything else that, you know, personal admin, washing clothes, ironing them. I was absolutely dreadful. I was, horrendous.
But it made a man out of you. You progressed. You kept going, and tell us how you sort of progressed through the ranks and through the Royal Marines to your first deployment.
Yeah, I actually, if I'm honest, I sort of bummed around for the first few years. I was just sort of traveling the world, enjoying the booze, having a bit of a laugh. But what I was doing as well was I was actually sort of like finding my feet, and actually realised that I do enjoy soldiering. So I probably spent 8-9 years actually practicing to be a soldier, but not actually going to do it operationally. And then it was sort of got to the point where I was getting a little bit bored of the sort of, there's a lot of sort of, what's the word without swearing? There's a lot of other stuff that goes on in the conventional military, you know, you polishing your boots, marching, all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't too keen on that. And so I figured the next step for me, if I was going to stay in, was to join the Special Forces. And that's what happened. I just put in for that. It was make or break. There was no other choice, really.
And what's that jump like when you move to the Special Forces? What's the sort of difference between Royal Marines and Special Forces levels?
I mean, the Marines are elite. There's like an unbelievable bunch of individuals. But I mean, JJ was, I caught some of JJ's chat, so I hope I'm not going to repeat, but it's an awesome bunch, and it does prepare you well. And I actually, when I left the Marines, when I didn't leave them, but when I made that jump across, I was serving in a reconnaissance troop in one of the units. So I was already sort of going in that direction. And yeah, and then I went, and my prep, I did a January course. So my prep was the Christmas holidays. And I basically turned up slightly overweight and hungover. But I basically said to myself, right, stick at it. You're going to hang out for the first 2 weeks, and then hopefully by that stage you might come into your own.
Yeah,
I was winging it, but it was a wing that worked.
Is it something that I've heard a lot, that if when you're in the training, you're trying to prove yourself, if you stay sort of in the middle ground, if you stay when you're on the troop, when you're running, when you're in the fitness, if you're in the middle ground and just get through the sessions, just keep going, they're going to try and break you down and all these sorts of things. Was that something that applied to you?
Don't highlight yourself. If for anyone listening that's considering it, do not highlight yourself, good or bad. Stick in the middle of the pack. And at the early stages of my course, there was like big course, like 350 guys. So, you know, if you're at the back, you noticed. If you're at your front, you noticed. The problem with being at the front is great, but you can fall off that pedestal pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, difficult. So as you progress through your first deployment, and I mean, have you got stories? We obviously heard from JJ Chalmers earlier, the guys that go out there and they're trained, they're ready, they know, and you yourself must have known what might happen, you know, the risks of going to war and signing up.
Yeah.
Is that always at the back of your mind, that you might not come home, those sorts of things, or how did you attack it?
It is. It's just, obviously, I was still quite young. I think, what was I, 24, 25 when I first joined that lot. You still sort of got that indestructible mentality. You still, you know, you've done a course, you've been trained to quite a very high standard. And there is a bit of, you know, bit of confidence there, which is what you need to go and push yourself into those situations. It's probably later on in my career when you get, you know, as you get older, your life changes slightly. It was only then that I started to consider what it was actually that we were getting amongst. And obviously that by that stage, you've bore witness to a lot of things, and you've seen mates get injured or killed, and you sort of, it suddenly starts to become a little bit more real. But the first ones I went in as a young, you know, those first deployments, I was keen. Well, I was always keen, but super eager. And you don't really, you spend a lot of the time, or I did, and the people around me, I can pretty much vouch for them. We sort of, you live your life like an 18-month-old toddler. You live in the now. There's so much going on. You've got to concentrate on the now, not worry about the future, not worry about what hasn't happened. And the life's moving too quickly to even to think about what's happened in the past. You've got to roll with it.
Mm-hmm. And is that something that you've taken forward to the guys you're with now, that you're sort of out of the military, guys that are on the show with you, Who Dares Wins? Ollie, were you familiar with them when you were serving? Ollie, Ant, Billy, lots of guys, were they around?
Yeah, I'm sort of like the link man, so to speak. So Ollie served like a while ago, but I knew him because I was young then. Then he left, and then Ant came along a bit after, and I was still serving. And Billy, I've always known of Billy. He's got a bit of a reputation, a good reputation. But yeah, everyone knows Billy.
Well, come on, and there might be some people. What's the reputation? Is it hard work? Is it always going that little bit further?
Hard work, an absolute stalwart of a soldier, a reliable individual when the obvious hits the fan. Just a real good guy. No bad things said about him. His admin leaves a lot to be desired, though. If I'm honest, on the show, we all live in a small room when we're filming, and I literally cannot look at his bed space. It is depressing. He's like, there's just kit everywhere, dirty pants, dirty socks. He's laying on his bed with dirty boots. It like proper winds me up.
What was I going to say there is that's something I'd like to know about. So behind the scenes on the show, we'll jump back to the show, that behind the scenes, you guys are living in sort of the military conditions as well.
Yeah. So what they do is prior to the shoot, which is actually roughly about 12 days long, solid. So you filmed 24 hours a day for 12 days. Just they're hoovering up content, but you live in they build the rig. They call it the rig. And it's basically like a makeshift not make-believe, but makeshift military base, I suppose. And you're just living amongst it. And there's honestly, you've got 4 guys living in one room. You can imagine what it's like. I mean, the rugby lads will definitely know. It stinks.
But is there something you quite like in that you're sort of back, but a wee bit of the military days, sort of 12 days, 2 weeks with the boys?
Yeah. Once we got that first one cracked, it was funny because we'd all of us had been out. We call it outside when you're in civilian street, but we'd all been outside for different periods of time. Came back, did that first one, and it was awesome. It was an amazing experience. Like my first real experience with TV, the media world, and I can remember we finished the shoot. Me and Ollie were walking down the main road of this sort of like old military base that they'd rented out in Wales. And I was like, mate, I could just keep doing this all the rest of my life, just rolling through it. I mean, I couldn't, after I was being very nostalgic at the time. Midway through a shoot, when you're living with 3 other blokes, the room stinks and it's like the frog chorus in the morning. It's like, it does start to grate on you a little bit.
But is that what you say you could do it all the time? Was that since you left the military and getting into TV work and that sort of show, is that the first sort of thing you found that you've really, really enjoyed? How was your transition out? Because I know you have spoken about battles with PTSD and things like that. When you got that show and that opportunity, was that something you thought, oh, hold on, I'm going to really push into this?
I was very lucky. I had a reasonably, I would say, looking back on it, it's fine, but it was quite a tough transition. I was medically discharged with PTSD and what they called chronic burnout. And I sort of I thought I'd lost my identity and my sense of belonging. And I dabbled with a few jobs. I had a corporate job, which I was lucky to get because I didn't have an absolute Scooby what I was doing, but I took it for what it was and learned a little bit, but I had to give it up really because it wasn't for me. And then a friend, I was a little bit down on my luck at the time, struggling financially, and a mate of mine from Glasgow, actually Yaldo Kane, he said, mate, I've got loads of work on. Can you cover for me for a job out in Madagascar? It was doing a bit of medic work. and doing a bit of diving as well with a film crew, with a TV documentary crew. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to, mate. And that's how my name got thrown into the mix, really. And then through that, I actually met a mate of Davies called Andrew Slater, who is also on Team Edinburgh. And he was my first real point of contact when it came to SAS Who Dares Wins. He picked me up and was like, mate, nice to meet you. This is what we've got going on. Are you interested in getting involved? And I was like, it was a tough call, to be fair. I was like, oh, I don't know whether I like the sound of this. You know, going on TV, talking about X, Y, and Z. And then I remembered I needed to pay the bills. So I was like, right, let's look at this. Let's explore what it actually looks like.
And you never look back, and that's turned into your podcast. You've written your book. You've progressed and you've embraced it, and it's something that obviously a very familiar face now. I bet as a 16-year-old boy, you never thought it would turn out like this.
I didn't know what I was going to do anyway, let alone this turning up and like presenting itself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd say if someone said, "Oh, mate, in like 25, 26 years' time, you're going to be doing this." I'd be like, shut up. But yeah, mental.
How bad did it get when you came out of the military? You know, how bad and how low did you become?
Yeah, pretty low, to be fair. I was, found myself stood on top of a cliff, contemplating launching myself off it because I was in a bit of a pit. I figured that I was failing at a lot of things, personal life, career that I'd love had gone, and so struggling with my identity. But it's actually, for me, obviously, it was a good thing. It was a bit of a wake-up call. It was like, right, you either do something that's not really going to benefit anyone, or you make some serious decisions and you're honest with yourself about where you need to go and what you need to do to get yourself out of this pit.
Yeah, that can't have been easy. And then the opportunity through Aldo obviously pushed you on to better and bigger things. Got you in the forefront. Once you were on TV, once you had a bit of notoriety, have other opportunities and things like that come across? And obviously take us to Narcos, because obviously that's an interesting thing to be involved with inside the real cartel, an interesting TV show.
Yeah, that was that was developed by a production company called Plum Pictures, and they came to me and they were like, got this great idea. It's called Miami Vice. We're calling it Miami Vice as a working title. You're going to live in Miami. We'll put you up in a condo. You're going to hang out with the feds and then also hang out with the drug dealers and that, and just sort of like get into the underworld of Miami. And I was like, that is awesome. I'm having some of that. Anyway, a few months down the line, they came back to me and said, right, the channel have commissioned it, as in it will happen, but we've changed the idea slightly. That you're going to go to Peru, Colombia, and Mexico and hang out with the cartels. I was like, hang on a minute. I didn't sign up to that. Where's Miami gone?
How did that unfold? What was that like, being around cartel members?
It was really good. As in not good. It was an amazing experience. Very hairy at times. There were some situations that happened which were harrowing and somewhat worrying. We had a hit put out on us at one point. We were fortunately not in the hotel in Mexico at the time. We were up in the hills hanging out with a load of heroin farmers. Fortunately, because these two guys went round to the hotel to try and find us. We weren't there, luckily, and we had time to sort of smooth it all over, sweet talk our way out of it.
Having interviewed quite a few special forces operators and Navy SEALs and all that sort of stuff, a lot of skills don't leave you.
No.
So when you hear that coming up, or there's a hit out on you guys, or there's a problem arising, what goes on in your mind, or what goes on internally that you sort of more prepared than the average man to sort of deal with what's coming?
More prepared to deal with my absolute panic that set in. Yeah, I suppose. A lot of people think that the special forces are full of blokes that are always up for a fight and hard as nails. But I would suggest that one of the best skills you learn in it is you don't look for that scrap. You look for a sort of more grown up way out of it. So you do become quite good and accustomed at relationship building and dealing with difficult individuals or difficult organizations So it's that sort of thing. Once we heard that, yeah, there was some trouble brewing, it was about, right, what do we need to do to sort of like calm this situation down? Where do we need to be? Who do we need to talk to? What do we need to say? I've sort of become quite excited by those sort of things, if I'm honest. It's a challenge.
And is there a story where you were in a bit of a difficult situation where they were planting bombs? Is there something where you were happy at the top of the hill, but they were trying to get you to go and stand beside them?
No, so what happened was we'd gone out with the sort of Peruvian counter-narcotic teams who were, to say trigger happy is an understatement, but we found what they call a cocaine maceration pit. So once they've harvested the cocoa leaves, dig big pits, put them all in, add a few chemicals, petrol, and they just start crunching it down. Anyway, found one of them, and this counter-narcotics team were like, right, we're going to blow it up, deny it. So they start burying like huge charges, like big lumps of plastic explosives, homemade explosives. None of it really that kosher, very volatile. We stood there, and I'm doing a piece to camera, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, where are all the Peruvians gone? They've legged it at the top of the hill. They lit the fuse, didn't bother telling us. So we were like, shot up there. One of the other guys, the fixer that we had with us, great guy. He was like, no, come down here. I ain't going down there. And he's gone down into this dip to take cover. And I'm like, we're getting up to the top of that and on the other side of the main feature. We've hoofed it up there. Charge goes off. It's enormous. We're like covered in dirt, rocks falling everywhere. And then this guy, the guy that took cover down in the low ground, comes thundering up the hill, screaming. And basically, when the charge went off, he was sat right next to a hornet's nest. And hang on, someone's trying to phone me. Typical. Yeah, and he came thundering up towards us, and basically was covered in hornets, stung to bits. And I was like, I told you not to go down there. Yeah, we nearly got blown up, and then he got stung.
Yeah, God, I'd heard that story somewhere, and it's yeah. You take the hornets probably over the body parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite an event. How do you enjoy the podcasting? Obviously, you're getting to interview some fantastic people. Our very own Mark Beaumont's obviously joined you on the show. But Nims heard you on recently what Nims has been doing as a special forces operator in the K2 in winter and the 14 Peaks. But from Virgo, Vigo, Mortensen, Hollywood actors and all sorts. Are you enjoying that sort of interviewing?
I'm loving it. I have to admit, I got told because what I was doing at the time was writing. I say writing a column. I talk to someone, they write it. For the platform, which is the Booker Man. And then they said, "Oh, we're thinking of giving you a podcast, sponsored by Talisker." And I'm like, I'm bang up for that. And so yeah, it came about. And then my first guest is a guy called Dwayne Fields. And just before doing it, I was quite worried. I was quite anxious, I'd say, about, I've never interviewed anyone, apart from the Narcos thing, which was slightly different. This is like me. And actually after Dwayne's one, I loved it. It was awesome. And because of that, I've got to, the other day I did Wim Hof.
Yes,
the
Iceman.
He is, in a very good way, absolutely barking. But I actually do the cold water stuff now.
Yeah.
I've become addicted to it. Yeah.
Been speaking to him, or were you into it before?
When I found out I was doing the chat, it was then that I started looking into it, and I was like, I'll give it a go. I've got to give it a go.
Yeah. What about Nims though? Give us a bit of chat on Nims. Did you obviously, were you in special forces with Nims? Or...
Yeah. So he joined up towards the end of my career. He's a bit younger than me.
Yeah.
But he is, unbelievable. His energy for what his passion is on another level. And when he turned around, he said, right, I'm going to do this challenge, the Project Possible which was basically the 14 highest peaks in the world in a season in 7 months. Everyone was like, no chance. Bearing in mind, the record was 8 years, just shy of the previous record. And everyone's like, he's going to die. Anyway, I went to the Royal Geographic Society in London. They had a sort of like audience with NIMS prior to him going, because he was trying to raise the money to do it. He'd remortgaged his house. His missus is a warrior, to stuck with him. He literally sold everything, every possession. Anyway, we went to the Royal Geographic Society. He was up on stage being interviewed, and then there was a bit of Q&A at the end. And some guy in the audience, there's a lot of people in there, was like, but what if you don't do it? What if you fail? And like, you could see Nims, it was like he didn't understand the word. There was no, it didn't compute. It was like a scene out of there's something about Mary when the bloke's like 7 second abs and all this, and he's like literally he was like that. Yeah. And we talked, like me and a few of the mates, lads that know him, giggling to ourselves. But there he went and smashed it. And then this winter, a couple of weeks ago, he goes and he's the first person to climb K2 in the winter, and that thing's a killer. Unbelievable bloke.
When I chatted to him on my show, he's so humble, and the way he talks about his teammates and the Sherpas and trying to give back to the Nepal government and his country. He's a passionate man, but there is this undercurrent of confidence that he doesn't know that word failure. He doesn't understand that. He's got himself into that mindset, and he owes a lot of it, he says, to the special forces. And when left the Gurkhas.
He does. But he does, like, testament to Nims. I always thought he'd grown up in the mountains. He didn't. He grew up on the lowlands of Nepal, never climbed a mountain.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But for him to, for a Gurkha, there's not many of them in the special forces, for them to pass that course with the language barrier, that in itself is impressive.
You tell me, you'll be an excellent person to tell me this. Is there many people that on, what did he have, 18 days leave, nip off and climb Everest the first time? Have you ever heard that?
First of all, he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
He was on, I think he was on his pager on recall, and he was like, nah, I'll be all right. Cuffed it, figured nothing's going to go down, and so buggered off to Nepal and just cracked Everest on his Easter holidays, and rescued someone in the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many unbelievable things, and when you read about it in the book, that they didn't have the proper kit. The two of them turned up. There was already seasoned sort of hikers there, mountain climbers there, looking at who are these guys. There wasn't much acclimatation that went on. They didn't acclimatise. Up they went, did it, rescued somebody, came back, and sort of like, what did you do on leave?
The thing was, their acclimatisation consisted of a night in a boozer. And then when they rescued the lady off Everest, once they flew off, there's a load of cameras and obviously media wanting to see what this hike was about. And he had to bug out the other side of the helicopter and run off because obviously, his identity couldn't be revealed at the time. Unbelievable bloke.
Have challenges like that or mountains like that ever crossed your path? You must have been offered a few things, or have you done a few things?
A few years ago, me and a few mates rode across the Atlantic, and it's weird because I remember long before that, there's a couple of guys I knew from Special Forces went and rode the Atlantic together, and I was like, that is stupid. I'm never ever going to do anything like that. And then I was in a pub, a few years later. I was like, do you want to join? We're thinking of rowing the Atlantic. Do you fancy getting amongst it? I'm like, yeah, let's get amongst it. So,
how long had you been in the pub?
Yes. A while. But mate, I mean, we did it for the NSPCC at the time, and we set a record. So that was, we rode from basically mainland Europe to mainland South America, so Portugal to Venezuela.
And do you think you'll take off more challenges like that?
I do enjoy it. I did a stint to the North Pole. That wasn't actually that long. That was another charity thing. And then I canoed the length of the Yukon River with a mate not last year, 2019. So it was like getting back to one of the last wildernesses on the planet. That was awesome. So I wouldn't mind doing that again. If anyone's got any interest in canoeing lengths of rivers, it's amazing. It's an amazing journey just to see the river grow, basically.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously, special forces, people like Nims, you surround yourself, and I'm going to introduce, I think she's still on, Laura Penhall. I think you know.
Yeah. She on it, she?
Laura's on. She was part of Mark's, she was Mark's performance manager when he went around the world.
Of course, yeah.
She's done. I want to talk, and Laura, you please jump in here, just surrounding yourself with positive people, getting the best people around you. And that means, obviously, you guys are at such an elite level, but for anybody, the better the people you have around you, the more experiences you have. Can you touch on that a bit and how you try and keep good energy around you, Foxy?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things is having the right people around you. The Special Forces is all about that. That's why you do the selection course. It is basically a 9-month interview, and it is brutal. But, I can't express enough the importance of being surrounded by not necessarily, the right people for you, like-minded, the same drives, the same interests, because it gets you through sticky times when you're in them. The row, 5 blokes on a boat. Okay, yeah, we had a couple of fallouts, but nothing major. We're still mates now. And that's testament to the characters that were on it, I think. But I know, yeah, I mean, I talk about the Atlantic, and then you bring up Laura, and she'll just blow me out of the water with a row across the Pacific. Nice one.
You're welcome.
It was only because did we start or we finished at the same time as you or something? And then that was in the thing between us, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I gave a chat, and then Laura came up and basically black catted me massively.
But yeah, Foxy's got the most amazing stories. I could listen to his stories all day. Crack me up.
Laura, when you put teams together, if you are leading a team like you did with Mark going around the world and looking at how it's going to perform, what are you looking for to get the best out of whoever maybe the athlete is or the team themselves? How do you sort of approach that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think you're totally right, and Foxy touched on that. That the team around the individual, the team around the team is also extremely important, because that's going to, I think, make or break the success, to know that people can control their own emotions. Like, fundamentally, the most important thing around Mark was about us being able to basically stay fairly emotionally neutral around him, like to make sure you didn't get drawn into his emotional highs and lows too much. And also, if you're having a bit of an emotional high or low, you're not then portraying that onto the person that's actually doing the work. Because, we're sleep deprived, we're only doing sort of 3 hours or whatever, but fundamentally he's still doing the bloody, keeping the wheels turning. So the biggest thing for me is, in that performance team, it has to be about the individual that you're supporting. It has to be, everything is about what's going to keep those wheels turning. And therefore, if somebody wants to argue with me about a can of Coke or something, versus they're going to have an argument with me about the route, then fine, happy to have an argument about the route, because that's going to affect, how fast that bike's going to go. But I'm not going to argue with you about a bloody can of Coke, because I can give 2 hoots. So there's the whole.
That's obviously something that happened as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have mentioned it. There's no smoke without fire.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that did happen. And I had to give it up. Just like on the row, I had to give up a bloody packet of noodles, which to this day, obviously, I don't hold grudges or still hold, some pedantic issues on that front. But yeah, that was a massive argument on the row about a bloody packet of noodles. But
why was that? Did someone miss a meal, or someone was needing more energy? Why did you lose a bag of noodles?
No, basically, we got to the point where we had to ration. So, we were supposed to finish the Hawaii to Samoa leg in 60 days, and we were 97 or whatever it was. And so then I had to we went through all the sort of food to ration it out, and noodles became the thing that was like, oh, so exciting if you got that in your ration pack. I mean, we're talking like the crappiest noodles, those ones you just add a bit of hot water to, but they were like heaven. And so when we got them in the ration packs, yes, some of us had eaten them or whatever. Whereas Nat, my teammate, had stashed hers. So she didn't eat all of the ones that she'd got previously. So she had 4 packets of noodles sitting in her in her sort of pouch in the cabin. And so then when we went to do the rations, we had 6 of these packets that were for the next part of the journey. And basically they got, because we were down to rationing, then they got distributed. She had 4 still there. I was like, well, you're right. We'll distribute these amongst us. Anyway, she was like, it's my prerogative to save them, so I still deserve a packet of noodles. I was like, mate, we're rationing. So that goes out the window. Anyway, she didn't get it. And fundamentally, I just gave her a packet of my noodles just to shut her up. But to this day, we have an absolute
noodle gate. Yeah.
In our viewpoints on that to this point in time.
Foxy, I'm going to keep you going for a wee while longer just while everyone's on. If there is any questions for Foxy, do raise your hand as you can do on Zoom. Hit a reaction button. Do let us know. Hope people are enjoying this, that they're watching the live feed across social media. Do tag wherever you can on photos and share them across Doddygump. Hashtag DoddyAid, World in a Day. It's all going on at the moment, and worldinaday.com is where to donate. One of your guests, Foxy, you had on your podcast and Take Us Out of This World was astronaut Tim Peake.
No, that was mental. That was awesome.
Yeah.
If no one's listening, I don't care if anyone. You don't need to listen to me. I don't actually talk on the podcast much anyway. If you're going to listen to anything, listen to that dude, because when he talks, he actually, it was his first one because of the restrictions lifting or quietening down. He came to my house. I couldn't believe it. I was I've got an astronaut at my house. This is amazing. And he sat down and he spoke and I listened, and it was on another level. When he talks about walking up to the rocket before because you're getting onto it and describing it moans and it creaks and it's iced up and it's got cryogenic fuel inside and it's making noises. It's just like, meh, honestly. And then he talked about the launch. It is bonkers.
The way also, I've heard him in other shows, the way he talks about when he looks out of the cabin back at Earth.
Yeah.
And I've heard astronauts talk about that there's a lot going on down here that we can probably try better and do more. And I think today is a big example of what we're trying to do here for MND and to help. And we can all just keep striving. And when you hear somebody say he looks back at Earth and we're such a small blip and there's so much pain down here and there's so much hardship, that we can all sort of step up, that it's commendable. And as I say throughout the day to everybody, Foxy, Laura, everyone, Mark, Rob, I could throw names out all day, and everyone behind the scenes, thank you so much for what you're doing today. It is inspiring to see the money that's been raised to try and help MND, to hear Davy's story as team captain of Edinburgh. It is, it's something that you should all be proud of what you're doing. You really should, because you're doing so much to help such a great cause. But Foxy, just on Tim Peake, there's an endurance event going on right now, and there's so many of these athletes that they're on this Zoom, they're trying to go 240, or they're beating what they thought they might do today. I think we've had people say, I was going to do 60, I'm now at 100 miles and I'm keeping going. Tim Peake ran a marathon in space. Did he talk about that? Did he talk about his mindset and how to endure in space?
He touched on it. I couldn't quite get my head around it, because it's like, there's no gravity. Because he was talking about some virtual. Honestly, the problem with me talking to Tim Peake is he's an extremely intelligent person, and I'm thick as 2 short planks. And so, there was a lot of things that went over my head. So he was talking about how he was, running this marathon, and for the whole conversation, I was like, how do you run when there's no gravity? There's, your footfall's all gone to cock. It's like, how does it work? But yeah, his mindset is unbelievable. When he was talking about the spacewalk, he's literally one wrong move from never going back to Earth, just disappearing into space. And it's just, space just fascinates me. I could have listened to the guy for years.
Would you put your hand up? Would you sign your life away if you ever got a chance to go to Mars? There's people, is there Elon Musk or somebody's looking for people to go to Mars and you're not coming back?
I reckon there's a few people out there that would probably sign my name for me. Get rid of me.
Laura, it's a bit of a strange question, but any experience working with astronauts or anything like that out of this world?
Not directly, no. I'm on the faculty with World Extreme Medicine, and they're a phenomenal group, and I mean, it was awesome. This year we had the opening speech was from an astronaut in space at the International Space Station, which was just phenomenal, like a live feed that went up. So you're like, seriously, I mean, technology these days blows my mind that we could be chatting to somebody on the bloody International Space Station. It's brilliant. So, like, Foxy, I can't imagine that conversation. The fact that you had him sitting across the table from you is, yeah.
The bit that I forgot to actually mention was when we did the road. So I got a mate that works at Inmarsat. I went and saw him. I said, mate, chuck us a couple of sat phones so we've got a little bit of comms with the outside world. He was like, yeah, I'll go one better. I'll give you this thing called a BGAN, so basically you can link to the internet from the middle of the ocean. And I saw something at Inmarsat, they're based in London. And there was a picture of the ISS space station. I was like, what's all that about? He goes, oh, we supply a lot of the comms equipment on it. And I was like, that's mental. You do realise when we're in the middle of the Atlantic, the closest person to us will be on that thing when they go over a couple hundred miles away. And he's like, that's bonkers. So when we were in the middle of the Atlantic, he got Tim Peake to tweet us from space. It was awesome.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
While I've got you both, Foxy, you've interviewed him, and Laura, you've project managed his circumnavigation around the world. You have been in charge of when Mark broke the world record. When you interviewed him, and he's here and he's our leader, and again, I'm doing this again, I'm talking about him while he's on this, but as Mark is an athlete, Foxy, you interviewed him and got his story. Any feedback on that?
Hey, I just, again, an unbelievable. If you think about it now, we're on a bike. I'm on a static bike riding, and yeah, my backside hurts, and my legs start. I'm blowing, obviously, not the man I used to be. But it's not just that, is it? It's everything, the admin involved in it, making sure you're eating enough. Things going wrong with a bike, very little goes wrong with this, and if it does, I phone Concept 2 up and they sort it out. But you know, it's just, there's always a lot more to a feat than meets the eye. It's not just cycling. So, I mean, when he was talking to me, I was just blown away by, you know, cycling around the world there's more to it. All the intricacies of dealing with people along the way, because you know, cultures change, people change, and you've got to roll with it. So yeah, an unbelievable achievement.
Laura, I hope I get this right. Was there an incident was it Russia, where something happened with transport, and what you guys and what Mark knew, and as long as Mark hit 240 miles a day, he would break the record. He would complete his challenge. Was there an issue where he had to just go, and the problem behind had to be resolved? So you and your team and logistics and working everything out in the heat of this challenge. Have I got that right? Was it Russia? Was that something that rings a bell?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are a couple of instances. One, yeah, that Russia one was a bit of a shocker. Basically, we came across a fatal road traffic accident, so we were the first car, and therefore I jumped to sort of do stuff, because actually we had so much medical kit. It was all going to be sort of tried to get the right kit on board that we'd be self-sufficient, but we had way more medical kit than even what the ambulance turned up had. And so anyway, so that kind of needed to be dealt with. Mark came up the hill, and then thankfully, because of the logistics of having two vehicles, then the other team just carried on supporting Mark, and yeah, I sort of tried to sort out what was going on the road. So yeah, that was an interesting insight, that piece. But yeah, I mean, he also went through a road traffic accident. Somebody slammed into the back of the van in Australia, and that was actually the 6 days when I sort of jumped out to have a bit of a breather, and Claire, the poor physio that jumped in my place, I think she was like 2 days in, and yeah, had to deal with a full-on RTA written off camper. She was sitting in the front eating her cereal, which then ended up on the windscreen. So yeah, there was a few little incidents like that, and then obviously putting Mark's tooth back in on day 9 that was Russia, wasn't it? Yeah, day 9. That was the other incident.
The story I thought you were referring to, Nashi, was the one where Russia was just the hardest country, full stop. Just east of Moscow, I'd crashed, and ended up with, I'd say, a chipped tooth and some very wobbly teeth and a wee fracture in my elbow. So riding the bike like this for 16 hours a day with a strapped up elbow with a crack through it was a nuisance. And then a few days later, I think the incident you're referring to, Nashi, is we woke up in the morning. So every day started at 3:30, get the porridge in, on the bike at 4, and then you got 16 hours riding every single day for 2.5 months. And this morning, our Russian drivers didn't wake up. So they weren't. The drivers were meant to be there on duty at 4 a.m. every morning, but for everyone it's hard. Everyone is hard. You know, you're only getting 4 or 5 hours sleep a night. So I'm off. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm off. Another 16-hour day on the bike. And our Russian crew weren't ready. So Laura took the law into her own hands, took the RV keys, and supported me. You know, I need my crew. And then, of course, they woke up bleary-eyed and they were like, "Where's the vehicle? Somebody's taken the vehicle. Like, the race is gone." And half my crew are still on their scratchers. And it caused a bit of a meltdown by the time they caught up with us, because you basically had a situation where they were going, "Laura, you stole the vehicle. You're not insured." And Laura was like, "Guess what, guys? 4 a.m. the race has started. Get out your scratchers and this won't happen." And it was a classic example of, you know, you just need that discipline every single day. But as soon as there's an issue like that, when you're in that pressure cooker situation, I'm sure Foxy will relate to this, it just explodes, you know, and everyone's dealing with a hell of a lot of sleep deprivation, and their tolerance for anything going wrong is less. You end up very binary, like you can't think about things normally when you're sleep deprived and you're under pressure. You know, I could deal with very simple choices, but if anything more complicated and you go into idiot mode.
Full on. That was the one I was thinking of, Mark. Thank you for doing that. But Laura, what you described in road traffic accidents, they're not things that you're maybe thinking they might happen, but to have to react and still think about Mark's safety and still think about the rest of the team, and then you've got to jump in and help people in a completely separate incident. All these sorts of things, you know, they could derail the challenge. But you guys obviously had it at that level that it just kept on ploughing, kept on going.
Yeah, but I mean, and that was kind of, again, you asked about it before about strength and stuff, but it is about, you know, I kind of nab the line from Ben Hunt Davis, who is an ex GB rower, but you know, he says about what will make the boat go faster, and I kind of nabbed that for Mark. That was my main aim. What's going to make the bike go faster? And it's always every action, every conversation, everything you do, what's going to make the bike go faster. So in that situation and plenty of the others, you know, I needed to jump in that RV and crack on. Like, it's about making the bike go fast. I could not give two hoots if you haven't, you know, I'll give you for the fact that you haven't got out of bed, but fundamentally, because I'm happy to have that argument, it's about what makes the bike go faster. But with the sort of the incident with the thing where we had to do trauma management stuff, that was a difficult one, because I was also in my head all at the same time. When you're trying to analyze a medical situation, there's now a life that's at stake that you're trying to manage, but at the same time in my head I'm like, this is our only kit. Do I use this on this person that isn't got anything to do with the event? And then it's like, well, this is a life. So yes, you think about it, but you're still having that quick judgment call and that quick decision making whilst adrenaline's flowing a little bit. So, and that's the thing that I draw a lot from Foxy and those guys, of kind of actually their decision making under pressure when adrenaline flows, I mean, is phenomenal. So kind of the amount of practice and work they've done on that is something to be drawn from, I think.
It's awesome. Foxy, as we look at, I think I can't even remember how long I told you I would need you for. We're into about 45 minutes now, and you're still pedaling away. So thank you very much for your time. What's next for SAS Who Dares Wins? When are we going to see you guys on our screens? And yeah, what's the future hold for 2021?
So we filmed 2 more that go out this year. Filmed them back in October. Again, it was up in Scotland. We reused the same place, so we went back to Raz. I'm going to get told off, but it's Rassay or Razay. Can't remember. I always get the pronunciation wrong. But the small island off Skye. So they're coming up, and then we're out to. I'm out to Australia in March to get the second one done in Australia.
And is that another celebrity one?
I think that's what the Aussies are sticking with. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the normals not tough enough to get through the show?
The Aussies, obviously not.
Oh, we're only joking. We're only joking.
I'm joking. I'm going to get filled in.
Don't worry. What have we got here? There's a couple. Craig Hogg just run out of time, but managed to cycle 3 times my previous longest. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the organisation, everything that's been going on, especially for the big man Doddy. Well done, Craig. 60 miles done for the London Scottish contribution from James Bertram. Well done, James.
Love it. This one's a good one. Come on, Ashley. So you've got to say this one on screen.
Okay, here we go, Foxy. Yeah. Now you're a TV celebrity, Foxy. Do you fake tan and Botox?
Who is that from?
Who's that
Name
from?
and shame.
Name and shame. Who's that from? Duncan. We've not got his last name. We've got his business. His business.
Go on. No, there's no. Can you not? There's definitely no Botox going on. And there's none of that spray tan stuff. I have got a funny story about a tanning studio though.
Go on then. We'll just say that's an Aussie tan you've got from being in Australia. Yeah.
No, I'm naturally olive in complexion.
Go on. What's your story?
Oh, nothing much. Me, when I was in Special Forces, me and another lad used to go and have a quick blast on a Saturday lunchtime just before going out. The old local tanning studio. Anyway, there was one time I had to look. I was looking after my daughter who was young at the time, and me and my mate Joe were like, "We'll be all right. We'll just take her in with us." We'd know this is how often we used to go. My reputation is absolute tatters now, obviously as well. But you knew the receptionist. We were like, "Look, can you just while we do the 5-minute blast in the old stand-up tanning machine, just keep an eye on the kid for us?" She's like, "Yeah, not a problem." Did that come out. Anyway, literally only probably 18 months ago, my daughter's mum goes into that place and literally walks in with my daughter. And the receptionist saying, "On, this is 10 years later." She's like, "I know that girl." She's like, "No, you don't. I've never been in here before." She goes, No, I used to look after her when her dad and his mate came in for a quick blast before they went out on a Saturday night." Got massively rumbled. Next thing you know, my phone's going. I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know the tanning studio in Bournemouth?" I'm like, "Yeah." Got classically rumbled from a little girl.
Rumbled. Well, Duncan, who sent in that question, there's now an ex-Special Forces soldier that knows your name and didn't like the question. So we'll see.
He
Any more question? Pardon? I'm just saying to Duncan who asked the question. Any more questions for Foxy? Any more from the cyclists? Anything on Facebook from the guys behind the scenes? Foxy, it's been brilliant having you on. Thank you.
Nice one. Thanks for everyone. Thanks everyone for supporting and getting amongst this because it's awesome. Good effort, Mark, as well. Big, strong effort, and Rob.
Cheers, Foxy. You've been a massive support over the January push so far, and hopefully we're carrying on through till February the 7th. So good on you, buddy.
Thanks, Foxy. Another hour of entertainment to keep the pedals going.
Nice bit of blue sky there, Rob. Nice one.
It's not a day to be sitting on an indoor trainer here. I'm in the cold tanning booth here.
It's not working.
Foxy, I'll ask you. Rugby. We've obviously got Scotland, England next week.
Oh God.
Any thoughts on that? Are you a keen rugby fan? Or?
I am. Yeah, I am. I'm a big fan of all the home nations, but I am an Englishman, so it's obviously England. Apologies. But yeah, I mean, hey, what's going to happen? Does anyone know what's actually going on with the Lions tour? Bringing it back to home nations.
Well, we've got Gavin Hastings on at 5:45 tonight, who is on the board. I can't grill him too much about it, but I can certainly ask. He's involved with the Lions and whether we get some chat on that. But earlier on, I've said already, we had Stuart Hogg on and even Rob was talking about it, that the Lions, from Hoggy, captain of Scotland's perspective, is he'd like to play it. He'd like to get it done this year. Obviously, he's got to get picked and all these sorts of things, but this might be the only chance certain players have for the Lions. You know, they might not get another shot, injuries, and what else is around the corner. So a lot of people don't agree with it. The Lions is known as a touring team, but this is strange times, and let's see what unfolds. And we all want to see some rugby. We all want to have something to look forward to. And Dave Catherine Granger was talking about the Olympics as well. Is that going to go ahead? What's happening? So it'd be good to get a big sporting event in the diary if they can do it safely.
Definitely needed.
Yeah, I think everyone needs it.
Foxy, I've got a speculative one for you. What's the worst bit of misbehaviour you've done at an Army-Navy game at Twickenham?
Mate, this is going out to the masses. I made the
millions watching on social media.
I made the fatal mistake of a few years ago taking my missus, and I said, "Look, come along to this. It's a great laugh. You're going to love it." Jumped on the train, got off at Twickenham, and it was like there'd been a terrorist incident. There was old Bill everywhere. There was just carnage all over the place. There's ex-paras on the floor. And my missus was like, "What the? You just brought me to? What is this?" And it descended further and further into chaos. And yeah, she will never ever go to one of those games again. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's an amazing thing, and you know, even if you're not aligned to either side, it's just a real old-fashioned rugby get-together. And when I played in it, it was always a highlight, even when I was playing international rugby. And the biggest problem we had was streakers. There would be about 15, 20 streakers a game. And the challenge seemed to be for the lightweights to get across the pitch without getting caught. For the real heavyweights, you had to do the length of the pitch. But streaking. And sadly, none of them were ladies.
It's a bit of a marine thing, if I'm honest. The whole getting naked thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I thought I recognised you.
Oh, brilliant, Foxy. Well, here, I really appreciate it. Are you going to stay on and do a bit of a cycle? We've got
I'll keep going.
We've got the Stoltmans on 4 o'clock. I don't know if you watched them. Have you seen what they've been up to? The world's strongest men competitors.
I've seen bits. Yeah, unbelievable.
Tom picked up second this year, and I know he'll be talking about going for the win next year. And Luke, his big brother, obviously a record holder in his own right. So, I mean, the two of them are pretty inspiring as athletes. And Jenny Faulkner joins us at 5 p.m, Gavin Hastings at 5:45, and Andrew Cotter at 6:30. So still lots to come. Everyone that's still on the bikes, well done, guys. Keep going. We're going to be here getting you through it. Foxy's chat was brilliant. The previous guests have been fantastic. The captain's been on. There's just so much happening. So thank you very much. I'm going to look for, have we still got, is Mika still with us, our 10-year-old? Just want to check in, see if he's still here, or has he maybe dropped off with his dad?
He's away at the moment, getting his tea, obviously.
Getting his tea. He's away at the moment.
I just see the rainbow stripes where there should be somebody.
Okay.
I've got a message for G. Hamilton of the Northern Midlands, if he's on this. I'm riding with him at the moment on Zwift. I'm just asking, can he just be a wee bit smoother? Because he keeps dropping me. It'll mean something to him, I hope.
I don't see him, Rob.
Actually, I don't know if you can see, but we've been busy.
I'll definitely try, Rob.
Grant, I see you now. There we go. That's perfect. What a difference. Thank you.
That Harriet there, Mark?
Yeah, we've gone for the Doddy face paint.
Oh, yes. Fantastic. Well done. Well done. That's a great effort.
You can tell our mum's an art teacher.
Harriet, are you enjoying this? You enjoying watching your dad cycling around the world? Yeah. Been good. Is there any of the other, Mark, any of the other guests that Harriet wants to jump on with? Is she familiar with any of the other ones?
Knows Laura very well. I'm not sure who else we've got. I've got it on speaker mode, so I need to go on gallery and see who everyone is. Let's have a wee look.
I'm not sure.
Oh, still got Stephen going up in Dundee. He's had a change of shirt, going strong, matey. Stephen, were you inspired by Catherine's Iron Brew jersey? I remember you last year. There he is.
Well,
I thought you'd like that.
as you say, easy 240, that's for sure. No matter how many things you try and do them. Yeah, it's the hurt walker at the moment.
Yeah, these are the hard miles. These are the hard miles for sure. Well, we've been going for 9.5 hours for those who started at 6:30 this morning. So it's a big old shift. And I can see we've got the pros. We've got on the screen I'm looking at right now, we've got Ross and Russ. And to think that they're going to be going straight through the night, the nutters. Who else have we got? Ross, I barely recognise you. That is an incredible lockdown look you're going for. You're looking wild, absolutely. Russ was a part of the peloton that did the 500 miles to Twickenham, and we called him the mad professor because he would ride strong at the front. Did you have a pink cycling helmet, and you tended to ride with your spectacles on the end of your nose? The mad professor was an incredible machine on the bike and still going strong.
I'm going Dukes of Hazzard, Mark.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. It's I've seen some lockdown looks, and that's strong. Are you actually going to ride straight through the night, or is that a joke?
Not tonight. I had a vaccination yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm feeling a bit at the moment.
Okay.
I think Ross is though.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Mark, is the guy, is it Ross that's going to go straight through 24 hours? Is he on? Is he?
Yeah, I did see him.
Yeah, he's on somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, crikey, he's gone for the wizard look as well.
There's a common theme there.
I've not cut this off since I did that last challenge. I've not cut my gear since the 14 Everest in 14 days.
The tablets.
And how many miles have you done now, Ross? 320k. Right. So well done. 200 miles. Yeah, you're a bit ahead of us. In 8 hours. You're going right the way through till 8 a.m. are you? 7:30 a.m. That's when 24-hour finishes. And I'm probably doing another 2 hours. Then John Chris Hall, right 9:45.
So Ross,
I should be on the break right now, but I'm not.
Ross, have you done a few of these sort of 24-hour events and been able to keep up through the night? What's the backstory?
Yeah, I've done a few. I didn't really do endurance riding until 2017, where there's Revolve 24. I got fourth place on that ride for Grand Patch. The year after, I did it again, got fourth. Then the year after that, I won it. And then that year, I was something rough about winning the Line 500. So I actually did win the Line 500. But I actually cycled. My plan was to cycle from Dunfermline to London. Unfortunately, with the weather over the borders, I got up to Harrogate and I jumped on the bus down to Twickenham, then cycled back up with the guys who won the Line 500 last year. So, yeah. And last year, as I said, I did a little challenge for the Doddy Foundation and Chaz last year. We did 124,000 meters of climbing on Swift in 14 days. So that's the equivalent of 3 Grand Tours in 14 days. In terms of climbing. It was an Everest a day, wasn't it, Ross? One Everest every single day. Yeah. And nobody done that in the world.
No one's complaining about having sore legs now.
And am I just really getting over that feat now in terms of things starting to work again on my hands and body? So yeah, well used to it.
Ross, how do you battle the sleep deprivation if going through the night, or is your body quite used to sort of going 24 hours and keeping going?
Generally, there's times where I will like have maybe 4 or 5 hours a night sleep, and maybe during the week. So just like, not sleeping, I can do that. Still a bit of caffeine. I have had times where it's just like you got fall asleep for like 2 seconds out on the road, then you wake up. It's very dangerous, but hey, so I'm endurance, right to know that.
I've caught Ross once when he fell asleep, and then when he was on day 10 of his Everest, and I came and did 3 times out Zwift with him, and every so often he'd disappear, and I'd text him, say, "What's happened?" And nothing would happen. Then about 5 minutes later, he'd go, "Oh, sorry, I fell asleep," and he'd get back on and start pounding up the hill again.
Yeah. But yeah, even during that, I was not having any recovery sleep at all. It was like 5 hours of sleep. I was basically looking after myself. I had no support for them 14 days. Even though my family knew about it, no support. So I was after everything. Food shopping, cleaning the clothes, everything. Food, bottles. I'll tell you, I did actually break that ride just because I was just so on my own, being in the same room for 14 days. And that was a tough getting back on the bike at that point.
I can believe it.
That's commitment. That is commitment to the cause. Well done, mate.
You spotted Mark Stevenson there. Previous best 37 miles, wanted to do 60, just completed the century. That's pretty good.
Good on him.
It's awesome. It's fantastic. We also got.
It is great. I was going to say, it is great to see loads of names around Swift at the moment. And you've all seen the Doddy 8, or it's the Team Edinburgh. So it's great to see that there's loads of people out on Swift, kicking about on Swift with Doddy 8, rolling it and getting the name out there.
Ross is jipped out. He's not doing the really difficult Swift course, which we're on RGV in France, which is very picturesque. And I'm going up the massive 8-meter climb on it. But Ross is on the flattest course of the lot, which is mind-numbingly boring. Tempest Fugit, but it's where you want to go if you want quick miles. So,
Rob, we've got a question in from Craig Little. Have you got any good Isle of Mull 7 stories?
I have an awful lot of Isle of Mull 7 stories. It's just that it's very difficult to remember them because the nights always descend into fast. But I played there when I was 50. I decided I'd play one game while I was vaguely able with my sons. So my 2 older boys and I turned up for the call team, and I got through a game. They would have done a lot better without me, but there was one of those instances where everything's teed up perfectly, but not for you, where it was a kickoff, and there was another guy, same age as me, McCall from over on Mull, who was chasing the kickoff, and it was almost out on the full, but not quite. And I was going backwards at full stretch with my arms up, and the ball and Mr. McCall arrived at the same moment. And I disappeared off pitch backwards. And I think that's the last game of rugby I ever had. And but it was great to play a game with my sons. And there are lots of other stories, but they're maybe not for this forum, as just like Fox's stories. But it's we were talking with Ali McCoist earlier on about events you should really go to in your life. A Lions Tour, Hong Kong Sevens. Well, most Sevens is pretty special because most of the teams camp on the pitch after the tournament, and then there's a big party in the clubhouse, and it's pretty messy, but great fun.
Rob, I once played in the Mull Sevens with a team called Rodent Rugby, and we took up a couple of ringers. Now, if I get this right, it's a long time ago. The two ringers, one was Rob Dewey, Scotland international at the time, and another, I think it was Ali Hogg we had with us. And can you believe we got beaten in the final by a local team? Was that Rob taking phone calls? We got beaten in the final of by a local team at the Mull Sevens with two Scotland internationals in our team. So that wasn't a great day for my old boys team, Rodent Rugby. That was a bit of a shocker, to the point that Hoggy, who's in our team, actually was asked by Mull if he would present the trophy to the other team that beat us. So that was a bit of a bad thing in the office. But I agree, the Mull Sevens is a great event. Everyone camping around the pitch, it's a lot of fun.
The first year we moved up to Call, Duncan Swinbank, the sort of doyen of Mull Rugby, got in touch and said, "You're coming over with a team." So we put a team together. It was called Call, but it included a lot of ex and not so ex international players. But we were all long in the tooth and past our sell-by date. And we came up in the final against a young Heriots team that had Simon Taylor in it and a lot of young guns. And through nothing to do with me, but we actually managed to beat them. So the old lads managed to beat the young guns at Sevens, which is an extremely rare event, and possibly something to do with the fact that the Heriots boys had started drinking on the ferry to Mull, and were probably not in a particularly good state, but it was an extremely satisfying thing. Age 30, whatever it was, 36, and playing against the young guns. 36 seems so young now. Are you 36 yet, Nashi?
I've just turned 37.
There you go. Well, I thought 36 was old back then. I've changed my mind. Now that I'm officially old, as pointed out by our host, thanks, Nashi.
Oh, you're not going to let me live that down. Davey, how you doing? Still racking up the miles?
Racking the miles. I've had a costume change.
Yeah, good on
Feeling
you.
fresh. I've got about 85, 90 miles to go. So I'm in the hurt locker, that's for sure. But I'm feeling good. Feeling good. Been really enjoying the amazing lineup of guests we've had. Lots of great chat, lots of good banter. So bring on the afternoon.
That's it. No, and thank you, as I said, thank you for introducing and getting Foxy involved. I think he's still on cycling away, but that was good. It was great to get that catch up. Davey, and are your boys still shooting along? I'm looking, is Tommy still going? Who's all in the team?
He should be. I think the comms, we've got a group, WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Everyone's gone pretty quiet in the last hour, so I think everyone's beginning to dig deep. But they all should be here. We've got Ryan, who's also a Royal Marine. He's one of the bootnecks as well. We've got Ryan, we've got Craig, Malcolm, Sorley, Tommy, they should be here.
I can see Malcolm. Malcolm was a big smiling face in his screen there. I think he's...
Yeah, I'm trying to hide my ill body. I didn't realize but it's kind of just going to be a floating head for a bit. But yeah.
Oh, well done, Malcolm. Good on you.
Cheers.
Nashi, I've very rudely not asked Craig Little for his story from the Mull Sevens, because I'm sure he was teeing it up for some amazing shenanigans that he's been up to there.
He's just said that he actually played against us, the Rodent Rugby, my team, when he was there. So hopefully he doesn't have anything incriminating against me.
He's reaching for the unmuting button.
I'm indeed.
Here we go.
Trying to remember the year. I think it might have been 2009. Does that sound right, Nashi?
Yeah, am I right in saying it was Ali Hogg that was with us?
Yeah, it might have been earlier. I was there with Highland, and we played against you in a pool game, I think, and from the kickoff, the ball was coming straight to one of our guys, and Rob Dewey was lining him up, and he just headed the ball over Rob's head and caught it and carried on running. But yeah, I think I've been at Mull maybe 7 or 8 times. It's yeah. I won't say too much to Rob Wainwright because we've camped next to them a few times, so I'll maybe just leave it at that.
I don't think there was a tent left standing the time we were there. Just everyone the side of the night. You come out of that clubhouse, you've still got your boots on at whatever time in the morning, and tents are just strewn across the pitch in the ditch, and you just have to try and survive until the ferry leaves with it the next morning.
And I've got a number of those tents. There's a few that have been soiled beyond reuse, but because we're only the last off, because we're getting just about back to call, we'd often get to tidy up some very good tents. It is the mystery of the modern camper that they don't pack up their tents when they leave.
So you stole my tent.
No, I left your tent. I left the soiled one.
Oh, good.
Just
Oh,
took
good times.
tags.
Good times.
And can I ask a question? I saw Willie Patson Brown was there a second ago. Are you still there, Willie? You disappeared. Willie's in Geneva and was doing an amazing outdoor circuit. And I was keen to see how he was doing on the hill. There seemed to be a nasty hill on his circuit. Why he chose that circuit, I don't know, but maybe there's no flat roads in Geneva. But I don't know if Willie's still there, are you?
Yeah, back on.
How did it go, Willie?
It was brutal. It was. I finished and got off the bike, and I couldn't walk because I couldn't feel my feet, and my feet were numb for about 30 minutes afterwards. So it's fine now because I'm warmed up and I've got a beer. But for 30 minutes, I couldn't even walk.
Did you have a cold dip in Lake Geneva like your normal Saturday, or did you skip that this week?
No, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, when I'm all, it needs to bring down some inflammation, which I've got in pretty much every joint right now. And I'll have in my head as well after I finish all the beers tonight. So, but the water temperature at the moment is about 2.5, 3 degrees. So I'll go in for 3 minutes.
All right.
You can't really do more than that.
You seem very precise. Do you have a sauna before you go in?
No, that would be nice, but yeah, no, it's pretty brutal going into that. But as long as it's not windy and wavy, then you can manage it. It's better than an ice bath.
So, Willie, I haven't seen you in the flesh recently, but have you a little insulation?
And not after burning 3,000 calories this morning, I don't.
Well done.
Got rid of all the Christmas overweight. But yeah. the best thing about it is detox January has now finished, so I can start drinking again.
Have we not got one more day?
No, I haven't. You might have.
It's only the 30th.
Yeah,
Sunday's
not here. You've got to remember my time zone's ahead of you.
Are you a day and an hour ahead of us, are you?
Yeah, I think we are.
Well done.
After this morning, I needed to celebrate.
Oh, so you've already celebrated. That's news for us that are hurting on the bike still. You already cracked a can, have you?
Quite a few, actually. have to start early.
I'll make everyone in Britain jealous, and me, to be honest, but my wife and youngest son are still not back from lunch at the Call Hotel. There's not many places in Britain you can do that at the moment. But they walked their miles to the Call Hotel, and I think they're walking back as well.
It looks like you got to, looking at your windows in the roof there, it looks like you got a fantastic day going on.
I've had to put some factor 50 on my lily green skin.
pale blue, you mean? You're one of those classic Scotsmen that Billy Connolly talks about, and you start off pale blue and it takes you a week to go pink.
In the summer, I have a true farmer's tan, which is a little V just here, below my neck, and then my hands, and that's it.
So Rob, how much have you done?
I'm on 150 miles, and
very good.
I keep not looking to see how I'm doing. I seem to have been picked up and dropped off by a number of people, but I'm just rolling along at my own pace. So, but I've just been overtaken by Graham Stewart, who's a kind of lap counter. In fact, he's just ahead of me still. And I think he's probably almost finished. He's been going a lot quicker around this course than I have. And he didn't have to go off for 2 hours to feed the farm. But Graham's probably there. You there, Graham?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm here.
How many? I can actually see how many miles you've done. You've only got 16 to go.
I'm into the last 30k. We don't have any cows.
Oh, there you go. You see, there's advantages to having cows and disadvantages. I've also seen my daughter, who's over in Aberdeen, is on, and she did 70k on the static trainer as part of a massive team from Call and beyond, who seem to have cobbled 240 miles between about 15 of them. There's Tash. She's have you cracked a Genius Open yet, Tash?
I'm on the old Jamaica, but I have got a whole slab of Genius waiting.
Waiting for McCoy's to come back at 7:30 when the party begins.
Mm-hmm.
So Willie Passenbrand's jumped the gun. There's a chuckle of a man who said about 5 beers already by the sound of it.
I'm starting to look at the wine, actually. I'm almost had enough beer now.
After the sun sets, which won't be long, so.
Good. Well done, Tash. And I see Tony Thorns there from the mighty Newport Massif, one of the most famous cycling clubs in Newport.
How you doing, Rob?
Have we?
Looking good.
Another man. Have you got a pink top on, or is that your suntan?
Oh, that's my suntan, of course. It's much warmer here in the east than it is in the west. The mighty Newport did their miles this morning. It was tough going, but we made it.
Yeah,
just in time to get down to Baker's to get some cake. Although there was a bit of a fight between Sammy and I who'd get the almond croissant.
Was there only one?
In fact, they'd run out. We were too late.
Oh.
But you're doing a cracking job. Everybody's done it amazing, and the chat's been brilliant. I've been following it most of the morning and this afternoon. Really good.
Just on that, I'm going to jump in if that's okay, just to say that the Stoltman brothers are going to be on in just under 10 minutes. Both Tom and Luke. Bear with me while I just mute a couple of people. The next session, this session will end for anyone that's following on Facebook, Twitter, and the social media profiles. This will end at 4:30, and then it will come back on 15 minutes later, or thereabouts, just with the way that the social media platforms work. But just under 10 minutes, we've got the Stoltman brothers. 5 p.m. Jenny Faulkner, 5:45 Gavin Hastings, 6:30 Andrew Cotter, and then hopefully Ali McCoist will be joining us again, and I'm sure some of the captains will jump back on throughout the rest of the afternoon. Keep going, guys. I know there's a long way still to go, but we're here for you. Get the questions in, do interact where you can, and a thank you to all the guests that have been on already. It's been a fantastic day so far. If you are watching across social media, Facebook, You'll see everything that's going on Instagram with the tags, but Twitter and Facebook is where the live feeds are. If you can donate, please, it's worldinaday.com. There's tons of websites out there for My Name is Doddy, the World in a Day site. There's Doddy Gump. There is Doddy Gump hashtags, World in a Day hashtags. There's so much going on that you can find where to donate. So please do that if you can.
Alan, can you hear me? It's Andrew Carter here. Can you hear me?
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Hello there. I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm just popped on early. I noticed, why is Rob Wainwright naked? What's going on there? That's
He's
weird.
been naked all day. It's 6 o'clock this morning. Then
It's
he went
so
away. He went away to tend his cows, and now
That
he's
is
back.
just so. And he tended his cows naked, and then came back naked. Everything's naked on the aisles. I just have a question, and I thought it'd be better to do this rather than sort of email in ahead of my 6:30 appearance. Am I supposed to be cycling while doing this? Because I can do that, but or is it just? Do you have to do that? Is that the law to be cycling?
It's not the law, but we would love you to be cycling.
Right. Okay. Well, the Wi-Fi sort of reaches the garage, so I'll give it a bash. Maybe I don't have to be naked though, do I? Because
Well, that's Rob's call. Rob's been trying to get everyone naked.
he's an ex-rugby player. They do that just for fun. Hey, let's everyone get naked and.
Mabel and Olive won't be wearing any clothes, so I don't see why you should be.
They're not wearing anything. Do you want to see it? Olive and Mabel here. Hang on a second. Olive, Mabel, Olive. What's this? Oh,
This is their moment. This is their moment.
Rob Wainwright's naked. Come see naked Rob Wainwright. Hello.
Hey.
They have a clown. Anyway, yes, so because they might not be. If I'm doing the cycling later on, look at these cyclist thighs. If I'm doing the cycle later on, they could sort of be pottering around in the garage doing some other work in the gym, heavy bench work. All right, well that's fine. I'll be there at 6:30. I'll leave you to it now.
Thank you very much. Thanks for popping on. Good to see you.
Bye, everyone.
Nashi,
yes,
you've been very concerned about everyone's health. You've been looking after us. Just felt we ought to see how you're going. You've been sat on that arse of yours now for how many hours? Almost 10 hours. Is it okay? No cramp or anything like that?
No, I am fine. No problems here. It's you guys that I need to worry about. No, there's nothing, no complaints from my end, Rob. I'm here to just try and help as best I can. But thank you for asking.
That's a pleasure.
We're all good. We're all good. You guys, how are the sores? Is there anyone? There was a bit of chat on sore bums earlier. Are we in that stage now where the bums are really, really sore? Keep going, guys. Dig in. I can see quite a few of you out your seats, pedaling away, probably going up hills and all sorts. So just keep going, guys. We will get there. Not long now till the Stoltman brothers. Luke and Tom, obviously the world's strongest brothers, let alone the couple of Scotsmen up from Invergordon. So there'll be some inspirational chat from them, because the pair of them, I had them on my podcast many months ago, and they're just a couple of brothers that work hard, put the time in. I think his little brother Harry has now started lifting strongman, so there's 3 strong boys in that family, and they've just got a great story. And obviously Tom and Luke were both at World's Strongest Man, tail end of 2020. You may have seen bits and pieces over the Christmas period, and Tom picked up the second place. So they're both absolute brutes, but we will see what their chat is when they come on. But they've got a very inspiring story of the work ethic that they put in. And I see Luke Stoltman has just come on.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello, boys. How's it going?
Hello. How are we doing?
Good to see you guys. You maybe heard me there giving you a bit of an intro.
We heard you. Thank you very much. Good, sir.
Good to see
Too
you.
kind, as always.
We've got well over 100 people on bikes. If you guys look at gallery view, if you've got that, you'll see that there's tons of folks on bikes cycling. A lot of them more than they've ever cycled before. But the gold standard today is 240 miles that a lot of these athletes are going to get through. There's been 10-year-old kids on. I think there's one still with us, Micah. All sorts of people here raising funds, awareness for My Name is Doddy and the charity. And just to say thank you to you both. I know I pestered you a wee bit for coming on, and your support and your promotion, your retweets, your shares have been really very much appreciated, guys. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us, guys. It's awesome to see so many people on their bikes. I mean, I dare say Tom and I would have probably fallen off our bikes after 10 minutes. We're not blessed with the cardiovascular endurance, should we say. Over 20 meters were okay though. But yeah,
20,
awesome.
20 meters carrying car engines and barrels and the heaviest things you've ever seen. That's your game, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what time it is, bro.
Yeah, we're more built for that. Yeah, so we just actually finished training as well. We had a kind of giant dumbbell pressing session, some Atlas stones, and some loading as well. So we were pushed on with obviously what you guys are doing. You know, it's great. And anything that we can use to inspire us, and what everyone's doing today is just such an amazing thing. You know, to kind of celebrate, or not celebrate, but be aware. You know, and remember that there is things out there that we need to kind of bring to the forefront. And obviously we're huge kind of ambassadors of doing that. And what you're doing today is just awesome, man. It's so cool.
Am I right in saying, did you boys bump into Doddy? It was a Sports Personality Award, or you saw him there and you heard more about his story?
Yeah, I mean, it was 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, before the world went crazy and we couldn't do anything. We got invited to the BBC Sports Personality of the Year that was in Aberdeen. And yeah, I think Doddy got some award. I forget the award, so apologies. I should have done a bit of research, but just inspiring, his speech and everything, what he gave when he was up there. And it was emotional, watching someone, you remember from when I was younger, watching on the rugby field, that kind of powerful man, and just still seeing that passion that he has, even with this crippling disease, and he's still fighting it. He's still kind of got that passion. You can see he's got that to make things to the forefront and people aware. It's incredible.
He's not going to give up, and he's set a standard that we're all following. And I sit here and I'll sit here for as long as I have to. But you see the effort that people are going to.
Yeah.
He's miles in to run all month, to raise money all month, let alone what's gone before this challenge, and let alone what's going to come. What Doddy has sort of set up with the foundation. Jill Douglas, the CEO, was on earlier just talking about the future of what's ahead for the Doddy Foundation and where all the money goes. It's tragic and heartbreaking what's happened and the way his condition is progressing, but he's fighting to find a cure and to help as many people as he can. And it is inspiring, as you say.
Oh, for sure, man. It's yeah, and I think being Scottish as well, we all love the kind of the Scottish hero story, and certainly Doddy's that hero for us. He's just a legend in what he's doing, and hopefully, we can find a cure for this kind of crippling disease. And it's just, it kind of blows your mind, that it's still there and there's not a cure for it. So, yeah, hopefully one day it's going to be kind of obsolete, and we can kind of, same with any other disease going, we should be in a place that we can just wipe it all out and just be us and just live to our fullest. That's all anyone wants in life. That's certainly what we want, and we want that for everyone else. And it's just heartbreaking that people go through this, but like you say, it's inspiring. You take inspiration from these people that kind of push on no matter what. And yeah, I mean, it just shows you that anything's possible. If you only get X amount of time to live, and you surpass that and smash through those boundaries, and you keep defying science. And that's pretty inspirational for us to see that.
Now, something that's been going on a lot today is there's been a lot of grazing. There's a lot of food getting consumed by these cyclists. You boys know I'm probably going to bring this up. I think everybody wants to know about you boys and your diets and the food. Now, I know it's a 10-egg breakfast each.
Yeah.
Since I last spoke to you both, is there any more eggs in the morning, or are we still sort of 10 each? And how's the diet?
I'm 10 eggs each with 4 scoops of cereal, so I have cereal now as well, with 2 bits of bacon and 2 bits of sausages.
All in one plate?
That's the one, boy. Got milk and tomato sauce on top of that too. Hey.
The amount you have to consume to keep the bulk, the energy. Yeah, I know. There's people that keep jumping on. The energy and the strength that you need to lift the weights that you boys do. Are you still the same look yourself? Are you still 10 eggs?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 10 eggs. Our brother Harry now, he's training, which is great to see. He's come on board. The nutritionist that we use, Nathan, he's taken Harry on as well. So Harry's been introduced. We did a YouTube video where we surprised him with, I think I made 30 fried eggs. So it was, it was like a tower of eggs like this.
So not a tower of pancakes, a tower of eggs. So.
Poor Harry. But he's doing really good. It's great to see Harry's. He's actually living with us at the moment. A couple of things have happened. Unfortunate things, whatever we won't go into. But he's, again, fighting through that and kind of pushing on and just showing that, you know, he's got that kind of mental strength and that want to kind of succeed in life. And he's
ex-Welsh man, Harry Stockman, after me.
I was going to say, is Harry going to be a threat to you boys? Is he coming on strong, or how quick is the progression?
I feel what Luke feels like whenever I beat Luke now. You know, me brother.
He keeps giving me digs all the time. I'm trying to be nice.
Let's talk about that, Luke. And we've spoken about it before. And Tom, you brought it up. But that time, Luke, you're the big brother.
Yeah.
Your wee brother is no bad at lifting them stones.
He's all right. He's not bad, isn't he?
He's all right. What is that like as a big brother? Now, I know you're the mentor and you've turned into... You had to accept it when Tom sort of started progressing. But what was that like as big brother when you see your wee brother nipping at you?
Man. I mean, I think people want me to say that I hate it and it winds me up, but I couldn't be more prouder, man. Jesus, it's simply like people can see it. I mean, I don't know if anyone watched World's Strongest Man, but the emotion that I feel when I see Tom do so well, it's like you can't even put it in words how proud I am of that kind of that success that Tom has. You know, so obviously it's all because of me that he's got that success. So
what I was going to say is, obviously, I watched all the episodes or all the shows of World's Strongest Man over Christmas, and with COVID and no crowds, Tom, when you were competing and lifting, you do just hear your booming voice, Luke, in the background, right? Coming
I put you off sometimes, you know. It's like,
does it?
Oh!
You do hear you. But the support's there, you know, your blood, you're looking after your wee brother, and he's as you're out there performing, Tom.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a bit extra man, isn't it? You know, we already had that advantage going out, so we used it to the best of our ability, and he's good at shouting at people, isn't he? It's scary.
It was it's quite funny though, because I can't stop like that. I kind of wear my heart in my sleeve, and I'm that way in everything I do, I think, in life. You know, I can't really hold back with kind of emotions and whatever else. I'll cry, I'll be happy, and that's just how things are with me. And I think we need a bit more of that. You know, the males certainly not too scared to show their emotions. Obviously, being from Scotland, we're all very passionate, and you know, we've got that Scottish pride. But it's you know, realizing that it's not bad to cry, and it's not bad to kind of show your emotions. And certainly, I can't kind of hold back the tears sometimes when I'm watching that big Luke compete. He's it's nervous though. I tell you, it's so nervous watching, because like you know what it's like one mistake, and it's like you just stuff up, and it's everything's on the line. And goodness me, how Tom performed at World's Strongest Man was incredible. He just held his head and his nerve completely throughout the whole thing. It was incredible. The keg toss when he was throwing the kegs, and that's literally like a midges, whatever, you know, and you're stuffing up, and Tom just held his nerve so well and just smashed it, man. It was inspiring.
Tom, what was that? Yeah, Tom, well done. I should have asked you to prepare. You don't have a particular trophy with you at the moment, do you? It's not around, is it?
I'll be back.
Don't get to show us that trophy. That would be good.
He takes it everywhere he goes.
Oh, does he really? Look, while he's away, what's the drive like? He came second. What's the drive in him like to get first next year?
Oh, massive, man. It's huge. He's I've really seen a change. It's in his confidence and his mentality now. He knows, like, Tom's a joker. We both are. You know, we have a bit of fun and a joke and all the rest of it. But Tom, he knows he's the best in the world. And that's no disrespect to anyone else that we compete against. But, you know, when you've got that confidence and that you know that you're the best at something, and that's what he's got now. So it's pretty cool to see. It's nice to train with him when he's like that. Oh, here he comes.
Here it is.
Look at that.
There
It's
it
almost the same size as Tom's head.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Tom. Well deserved. Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
Good on you. Now, Tom, talk about the event. You know, you went into it confident. You've come out with second, and we know where you're going to go after this. You're going to be chasing that number one spot. But through the event, and when you're in it, and the tension, and you're under the stress and the stress and the pressure, how was it for you?
Yeah, like I said, there was no fan there, and kind of not having Sinead, the wife, there and stuff. It was I was under pressure because obviously I was in the final, and obviously I probably was one of the favourites to kind of get on the podium. And you know, usually when people put pressure on me, I don't perform and stuff. But after the first event, as you could see, I kind of dropped the anvil, but was still able to keep up with like the JF and still finish fifth. So I was like, right, I've got some work to do. I knew I had one bad event left, and that was the Hercules. The keg toss, you know, I did better than I thought on that. And, you know, going from day one and ending on a high in the keg toss, I woke up the next day, and then I think it was a Hercules. Obviously, I was going to come last in that, but then it was a log. I was like to look, oh, that's me done, you know, no podium, nothing. And he was the one that kept my head, you know, because, like, I mean, I've been training decent log press and training, but you have the JF Carons, the Novikovs, loads of guys out there that, like, should be, well, are much better than me at log press. And I just went up to my room, was in a grump, had a burger, and I was like, right, I need to get my head screwed on and forget what's happened in the past and kind of really focus. And I think going out by myself gave me that advantage because I didn't have anyone to chase. I wasn't rushing. Every rep I did smoothly. I didn't jump off over the logs, and you know, it didn't fall off the pads. But after I did the log, it was then kind of like, you know, I can chase a podium place here. And then I won the stones, a massive buzz, and
funny
I
that
thought I'd done third place. And when they shouted second, it was overwhelming. I mean, it was good. We had my dad on FaceTime, Luke there, Sinead on FaceTime, and it was a really good experience. I mean, I enjoyed every minute of it. It would have been better if we were both on the podium, but that would happen this year. But yeah, I just went over there to have fun. Like, you know, that's what I've learned to do in this sport now. Obviously, with autism, I've kind of learned to kind of shut away kind of the pressure and the people around me and just really focus on what I've got to do. And it paid off big time. So yeah, I'm happy with second place, but I'm not happy enough. That's I need to chase that gold trophy, which is close.
I threw in there when you said that you did well at the Stones, and I threw in there, funny that, when you when you put yourself in a good position and you've got the Atlas Stones to go, the confidence must be high because the world record holder in doing the Atlas Stones. Have you done? Correct me if I'm wrong. Have you done? Is it 303 you're going for? What's the record you're going to go for, or have you done?
I'm going to go for 300 kilograms. Yeah, in the Atlas Stones, the world record. So, but even for having the world record, I mean, like, you know, in the qualifier to get to the final, I was in the stone off, and then you have to perform, and you've always got that. If you make a mistake, you could then lose the stone run, you know, and then that's the pressure I've got. You know, everyone expects me to win the stones, and if you don't win it, that's when everyone kind of starts doubting you. So the pressure I had me at Worlds was massive because, like, as soon as I got into that stone off, before it even started, they were like, Tom's won. I just kind of had to hold my nerve. You know, I had two of the best stone lifters in my group anyway, so I couldn't just go in there and going, right, this is going to be easy. You know, I know what Trey could lift, and I knew what Max could lift, and yeah, I just kind of focused on myself and got the job done. I don't know what it is with stones. I go into a weird mode that I just start hitting my head and pace back and forth, but it seems to be working, and I don't know what it is. I just go berserk.
It's fantastic to see you do them. Tom, you mentioned there, and you speak so well and confidently, but you mentioned obviously autism, you know, and something that you have really put on the map, and you're helping others and you're promoting what you're achieving with what you have to deal with. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and how you're sort of using your profile to sort of spread awareness?
Yeah, I mean, I want everybody to kind of know that, like, people with autism aren't different. You know, just because we've got this kind of, you know, we're autistic, as you could say. You know, we're not different. I mean, you can still be the best in the world at a sport. You can still excel in your driven or job. You can still do good at school. You can do good at anything you want. But it's more just like, it's more at a young age, people put labels on you, you know, and tell you can't do this, you can't do that. But, you know, it's, for me, it's all about proving people wrong that say that. And I think I've done that kind of highly. And, you know, I just, like I said, I just want to put autism on the map. I'm trying to work now with the Scottish Autism Association. They messaged me the other day as well. So if I can kind of get autism out there and, you know, get someone into strongman that's autistic like me and they follow their journey like me, it'll be great. But I'm just doing the sport because I love it, and if I can raise as much awareness as I can, it's a bonus. But the people that come to me and say, you know, you've changed my child's life, even watching you and look on YouTube, it's unbelievable. Because I mean, this time last year I could even struggle on YouTube, and kind of the progression even still with talking to people still is going up a notch as well. And you know, I was physically strong at the start of this kind of journey, but it was mentally, I was trying to get used to that. And even when cameras are in my face now, I can't really shut up, and there's lights, I don't care about it all. But yeah, I really want people to, like, you know, be aware, and that's why I'm so open about it now. You know, I promote it as much as I can, because just like mental health, it's a great thing to, well, it's a thing that I've got and I live with it, and I'm proud to be like autistic. So yeah, it doesn't make you any different, not whatsoever. So
You're on, yeah, well said. And if I can say, I highly urge people to go and have a look at your boys' YouTube page, because it is brilliant. And but seeing you guys train and seeing the culture that you've built at your own Stoltman gym, and seeing that people can go and train with you and when times are normal and COVID isn't here, but what you're building out of Scotland and up in Invergordon, and you know, you're putting you guys on the map, let alone our country, you know. And you're doing just incredible things. But I want to touch on, Luke, it's maybe more your thing, this. We just had Jason Fox on from the SAS show, former Special Forces soldier. He's recently interviewed Wim Hof. Now,
cool, yeah.
you and me keep in touch about our cold water Duncan. How's that sort of manoeuvred into your training? Because you're in the cold water up at Lochmorlich and all these sorts of places regularly.
Yeah, I mean, I think people get a little bit kind of confused sometimes with why we do it so much. You know, we go out in the morning, as you do yourself, in the evening. But Tom and I have both been doing it for, I don't know, a couple of years now, maybe a year and a half or so. But recently, I've decided to try and do it every morning. So one of my good friends, who was struggling a little bit and kind of, you know, maybe just with the whole lockdown and stuff like that and whatever. So I said, look, let's just meet and go for a swim. And that was on the 27th of December, I think it was. And since then, we've been in the sea every morning, and his mentality, his mental well-being has just improved so much, and so has mine. It's incredible that, obviously I kind of talk about mental health and mental health awareness and stuff like that. I've gone through issues in my life with things like that, and the cold water for me is such a boost for your general well-being, the mentality of it. Obviously, it's got some the health benefits, the recovery benefits, aids inflammation, and you know, when you look into Wim Hof's method, you know, it reduces inflammation, but it's more than that for me. It's been connected to, I know it sounds a bit cheesy, whatever, but it's about being connected to the earth and kind of having that energy. And whenever I come out of the sea or the lochs that we swim in, my eyesight, it's incredible. It's like, it's so sharp, much sharper. And so, I don't know, I just take things a lot more. It means a lot more, you know, like a nice sunset, a nice sunrise just means a lot more to me. And you still there, right?
Yeah, we're still there, yeah.
I'm just and then with Wim Hof, we actually did a mini documentary on cold water and mental health. And Mr. Wim Hof has kindly agreed to come on and chat to, it's through the Mulligan brothers, so they're doing this documentary. It's a mini documentary, so we're doing a feature length one, but in the feature length one, we've got this mini documentary that'll be going out on YouTube. So Wim's going to come on and have a chat regarding mental health and the benefits that cold water does. And I've seen a few negative things about cold water and stuff, and I just ask those people that are negative, if any of you are watching, I've got a negative outlook on it. It's just try it. You know, we're not saying it's going to cure everything. It's not going to, you know, it might not change your life, but it certainly has from the people I speak to and the mental health documentary. I think you'll see quite a few interesting reactions to it, and it's great. It's free. You know, you go out with the family and the kids and stuff like that, and it's great to see. It's awesome, so cool. Tom goes out with his wife, Sinead. I go out with my wife. It's something that we can still do even in kind of lockdown. It's something we can still utilise and get that boost from. And I think anything at the moment, especially with, you know, the darker nights, the kind of, you know, the kind of depressing days that we have, if we can go out and make ourselves feel better about things, then we need to take it and take advantage of what we've got. And we're just very fortunate up in the Highlands that we get to do it. And
well, that's
swimming
it. That's it. And that's it. And I'm going to throw this to you that this Monday, I think Monday, 1st of February, I start a wee challenge after this one.
Right.
Coinciding with this, it's called Freesbury.
Right.
Freesbury. So you've just got, I think you boys get in the cold water every day, but just for a bit of discipline. It's like you touched on there. Do something difficult every day. Do something, and the cold water is a challenge every day, especially as we move into February.
Definitely.
It's getting a bit uncomfortable. If it's pitch black and you've got a head torch on and you've not been in the water yet, you've got to motivate yourself to get down there. So it's, if we can put these, I think we're all kind of been looking for something, and Doddy Gump has given a lot of people something to focus on to get through January into the start of February, and then having something next to keep everybody going. It just keep going through this pandemic, working together, getting the communities together. And it's something, it's whatever works for you, you know. So the cold water works for me, it works for you guys, and there'll be other people that do other things. So I think a little bit of discipline and a bit of something hard every day, something uncomfortable. It's
definitely
for a lot of people.
No, I think you're putting your body in a stressful environment or a stressful position. The rewards you get from that stress, you know, if your body's in that stressful position or environment, after you're out of it, you know, you get that endorphins, that buzz, that kind of, like that sharpness in your eyesight, taking like the sunsets, the sunrises, like the scenery that we've got in Scotland. It's just so rewarding, and I can't emphasize it enough. For me, I think I'm going to go out for another swim tonight. We were in this morning. I'm going to go back out tonight again. Just speaking to you, we've got the full moon at the moment as well. Last night we went out for a swim, and it was like it was during the day. It was that bright. It was incredible. The moon and stars, and I could keep going on about cold water stuff because it's something that I'm very I'm just into. Passionate. Yeah, for sure, man.
It's a good thing, you know. If it helps you, keep doing it. But I want to touch on it. Look, I texted you about this. Now, Tom and you both very kindly introduced me to Drew McIntyre over in the States.
Yes.
He's up for you lads being a tag team. He is up for you boys dominating the WWE. Has anything like that ever come on the radar, been discussed? Things like that?
We got asked to go out to do some trials in Cologne in Germany a couple of years ago. I forget the guy's name. But anyway, we worked for the WWE. I was working in Hamburg, and there was a scout that owns a gym out there, and he passed us on to this guy. So he's left it open. He says, anytime you want to come across and, you know, do some stuff, then let us know. But it was just bad timing because there was so much on, unfortunately. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool to go out and do a little tag team, huh?
Yeah, buddy. Triple threat match, baby.
Yeah, I think we're having the WWE champion as a Scotsman at the moment. It's quite a good way to get the doors open for you.
Definitely.
Drew's a good guy, you know. He's humble as well, and he's down to earth. He's from Scotland like us, and he's proud of the country, and it's nice to see. So.
It was great. I got 30 minutes with him. We talked about Doddy. We talked about you guys, his rise from a 15-year-old boy that had a dream, you know?
Yeah.
And for a Scotsman from Ayr, a little laddie, to be now having that belt, and, you know, it's one of the biggest sporting businesses in the world, corporations in the world, billions of followers, etc., etc. it's commendable, you know. And it was a funny when he talked about you guys, because where you were competing at World's Strongest Man was literally about 10 minutes down the road from his house in Florida.
Oh, really? I never knew that. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Well, we could have.
That's when you sort of came onto the radar properly, that you guys were dominating, you know, and you were there. And then it sort of perked his interest up a lot. It was a really interesting story the way he talked about you guys, that there's one Scotsman that's doing well, really promoting more Scottish athletes. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's just nice to see, you know. I think with the Scottish people, we are very proud of people that do well, and, you know, Drew's smashing it out in America in the WWE. You know, it's great to see, and just, yeah, very thankful and humbled that he's taken the time out to even mention us. You know, it's again, we say it all the time, we're just a couple of idiots from Invergordon. So it's very humbling when people like that kind of, you know, give us a shout out and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I can't really say much more than that. We're very thankful. Yeah.
How's this year COVID related and all that sort of thing? How's the year panning out for you guys competition wise?
We're going about it in 27th of February. And then as far as after that concerns, we don't know yet. It's all meant to be kicking off in April, but it could be put back to May now. So I don't know what's happening. So
we're hopeful, we're confident. You know, speaking to like likes of Giants Live, Colin Bryce and Darren Sadler from Giants, you know, they're confident that we can get the competitions back up and running. We might have to do it all, you know, live, or we just have to go with whatever the restrictions are that the government kind of put on. But yeah, I mean, if the confidence for us is that football's still on, professional sports is still on, so Tom and I are under that category. You know,
it'll be on whether there's fans or not. That's the thing they're saying. You know, we will be competing, but how we compete.
Yeah. So we're hopeful. Yeah, and there's actually a Giants Live coming to Glasgow in October. So that's going to be the first kind of big arena show in Scotland that we have for strongman. So that'd be pretty cool. Be good to see a few. Well, if we can't have a crowd there, you know, that'd be awesome to see the Scottish contingency there and kind of get all the boys down there, or Tommy's mates from Glasgow.
Absolutely. If I can chuck in just a quick bit of housekeeping, guys, the feed that goes out just now live on Facebook, Twitter, and the social media profiles, that's going to stop at 4:30. And behind the scenes, Keith will get that going again as quickly as he can. So if it stops, please do log straight back in as soon as it is made live. Cool. We're still going to keep the Zoom running. Everything will stay on here. The boys, you still okay to stick around for another wee while?
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah.
You're okay? If anyone that's on the Zoom or anyone anywhere has got questions for Tom or Luke, please do send them in. If you're on the Zoom, I know you're in a dark place at the moment, probably putting in these miles, but if there is anything you'd like to say to the boys, or I can ask a question for you, please just ask. Guys, coming back to you, the Eddie Hall Classic, the Arnold Classic that's coming to UK, is that this year?
It's this year, yeah. So I think Eddie's been kind of promoting that a little bit. I forget the dates, but
September it's meant to be
September time, yeah. So the Arnolds are huge. You know, you're supposed to be going out for the higher ones.
The main one, baby.
Yeah, so that'd be cool to see that come into the UK and hopefully get a wee cigar smoke with Arnie if he comes over. Be quite cool. But yeah, we'll see. Again, it's just the unknown at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is, and it's something that we're all just kind of looking for. We've had rugby players on, we've had the Olympians on, and there's events around the corner, whether it be the Lions, the Olympics. We'd love to see them happen. We'd love to see them progress, but it's just let's a day at a time, an event at a time. Keep going, keep positive, do what you need to do personally to keep your mental health in check as best you can, and go from there.
100%. Yeah, I mean that's all we can do at the moment, and you know we'll try and if people need help or whatever along the way, you know, we'll do our best. But it's you got to kind of concentrate on kind of your family and kind of your loved ones first, and put that as a priority, and then you know that's what we're doing, and then everything else we just have to kind of wait and see what happens. You know, it's kind of it's just one of those strange worlds that we're in at the moment. It's just, and that's the thing, it changes every week or two. You know, it's, you think we're getting there, and then boom, something else. And that really, it's. I think my mother-in-law was chatting to her in the text yesterday, and she saw an article that said that you won't be going anywhere on holiday this year, and that really kind of knocked the wind out of her sails. Kusi's mum, she's South African, so she was hoping to get back to see her family in South Africa, and doesn't look like that'll maybe happen this year, and that really kind of put her in a bit of a dark place and stuff. So it's tough, you know. Everyone's feeling it, and everyone's just, what can you do? What can you say? You know, we've just got to try and put a smile on and try and kind of make do with what we've got at the moment. And we're just very fortunate that we can still train and still kind of keep that side of our kind of life going, you know, where a lot of people can't even do that, which is, pretty tough for them.
Tom, is there a date on the Atlas Stones record, or is it something that you're training for at the moment, or what you're thinking?
To be honest, I'm not interested in the record just now. I mean, I hold the 286 kilograms, and in my eyes, like, Eddie Hall got offered a lot for doing a 500k deadlift, and for getting past a 300k stone, I think it's maybe as impressive or more impressive than that. So until I kind of get offered something that's worthwhile, I'll do it. Because for Eddie, he did 12 months, didn't do any competitions. He focused on that because he was able to, because he got a massive paycheck out of it. So unless someone puts up something like, that's worth my while, I'm not going to go near it. There's too many for me as well. I mean, I've been invited to the Arnold Classic. We've got Worlds, Britain's, Europe's, Glasgow comp, Worcester. So there's like 9 comps to squeeze into from May till December. So it's something that I'm not interested in just now at all. Like, unless someone beats it, I'll do it.